All right. We are officially live for what I can only imagine is about to be a legendary shit show. At least one of the two worst things to ever happen to America on December 7th. I would say it's up there. Maybe not top spot, but pretty darn close, EJ. How are you feeling?
I don't think it's probably that bad, but we were talking about it pre-show here, and the only way that you can know that this is going to be a really good game is because we've been crapping on it so hard for like the entire week. You just know it's going to turn into like a 40-38 nail biter, and everybody's going to be riveted because everybody is expecting exactly what you let off with. Not a lot is probably the best and nicest way to say that.
Well, if you're really into Bailey Zappi throwing to the only three wide receivers that are active for the Patriots tonight, being Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Reagor, and Tyquan Thornton, you're in for a treat. But for anybody that loves competent football, maybe not so much. And then on the other side of the coin, we got our old friend Mitch Trubisky, who I'm sure is just about to light it up. I'm really selling this game, man.
Mitch has his moments, but unfortunately he's not playing the Lions tonight. So, or the old Lions. So the chances that he does that are much lower. That was his shtick in Chicago, was to be able to play the Lions twice a year and look competent. And this is not that, but I think it was Doug Farrar posted this morning. Somebody said, who's going to win tonight? And he said, lovers of the late crossbody interception.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of positives for this game in particular, but what I do have is a lot of draft speculation locked and loaded, because I imagine by the third quarter we're going to need to get into that. Right now, the Patriots are sitting at the second overall pick, by the way, so a loss.
Wait a minute.
Helps
when did Whitworth and when did Whitworth get a Star Wars 3D chessboard?
A Star Wars what now? Oh, for the augmented reality.
Him and Fitz are basically playing Star Wars chess here.
Yeah, there's like a European soccer analyst that has a similar kind of thing that's like super cool.
Crazy.
It looks far more expensive than what's in our budget, though. So we have a whiteboard,
and it's Mondo sized.
Yeah, that's about what we got tonight.
Well, we have
promise augmented reality.
We have something they don't. Well, I have something they don't.
The ability to drink on air?
That's right. I have beer. They do not.
What do you got?
They can get beer later. I've got the Woods Lager from Laurelwood Brewing right down in Portland. One of my favorites down there. Lager, a little bit light for this time of year, but again, A, it comes in a 16-ounce can, and B, I'm probably going to have more than one tonight. Yeah, there might even be like beer runs between quarters in this game.
I'm filling out the underdog entry right now, by the way. Bailey Zappi is at half a passing touchdown as the number. How are you feeling on it?
And I'm still shying away from that. Does he have like third downs not converted? Like, I'll bet on that.
That one's too easy. Of course they're not going to give us that one. Yeah. You could do either half passing touchdown, 161.5 passing yards, 26.5 passing attempts. If he's throwing the ball that much, there's something definitely wrong.
Yeah, 161 feels like a number I would go over. I think he'll go over 161.
Let's see. Let me look at these receivers. Do you believe in Tyquan Thornton getting at least 23.5 receiving yards?
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, they have to play him.
Well, they have to. It's not that they don't have to play him. I felt so bad. Tyquan got open deep. Bailey Zappi put a dot on his hands. It was a tough catch. He was laying out, but like it was on his hands. And our guy Tyquan, who we know and love, couldn't haul it in. And that was so like highlights of that ilk have been so few and far between for this version of the Patriots that I was like, oh, come on, give them something nice. Like, just let them have that one. Nope. So I have a feeling he redeems himself. Taekwon is nothing if not a gamer. I think will come back and catch some. So 161 over Taekwon. Yeah, what was the number? It was low, 30.
23 and a half.
23 and a half. That's like 2 catches for him.
Massive expectations.
Okay, I'm going to go with over for both.
All right, so the total entry is Zappy higher than 161.5. We have Tyquan Thornton at higher than 23.5 receiving. We have Trubisky at higher than 12.5 rushing yards. I don't have a whole lot of faith in anything else. Deontay Johnson at over 4.5 receptions because I feel like it might be Screen City here. And then I personally put Jalen Warren at 50.5 rushing higher. But
yeah,
when I link this entry into chat, by the way, there is a special for Jalen Warren tonight for new signups where you can get him at half of a rushing yard, I believe.
Oh, hop on that. Get on that. That's free money. Go get it.
So I'll throw... gotta take off Zappy. There we go. So I'll throw...
Do they have an interception number for Mitch? Really?
No. It's too easy. You kidding me? That's like automatic.
I'm just wondering.
By the way, have you seen the talk today of
which talk? There has been much talk.
If Mitch plays well, that he will usurp Kenny no matter what.
Oh God, let's not do that, shall we? Let's just not do that. There has been much talk. I don't want to put much stock in that particular talk.
Steelers fans are desperate, man.
Yeah, I would say at this point, like if that's the talk, like young quarterback with any potential being usurped by Mitch, who is the guy he is at this point, and roll a dice with him as a backup and hope he can get you a couple of wins. Like that's what Mitch is. So let's not talk about him usurping anyone for a starting role, 1 of 32. Like no. Let's not do that.
I just threw the link in chat for anybody who wants to tail that, by the way. In the meantime, we'll get started on these super chats.
I was going to say we should hop to super chats.
Matthew Wright for $2. Freiermuth or Dalton Schultz for PPR?
Probably Freiermuth. He's been playing pretty well of late.
Yeah, but I don't feel good about it. Like,
no, I don't feel good about it.
You have to, but like I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, if you're super afraid of Mitch, then Dalton. It's not I think Dalton actually might have a pretty good game. So I might lean Dalton Schultz just because of Mitch, not because I think Dalton's a better player than Freiermuth, and that's just how fantasy goes. Somebody's got to throw him the ball. So.
This Zappy versus Trubisky showdown is my 13th reason. That's good. Storm for $5. Can I convince you for the Cards to draft Marvin and trade for Ayuk if the 49ers can't pay him? I don't think the 49ers would ever trade Ayuk in division.
No.
Like, it would take so much for an in-division rival to get Ayuk from the 49ers because they know exactly what he can do.
Yeah. Wait, if we let him go to somebody that throws to him all the time, what would happen?
Like, they spent a first on Hollywood. They would need to spend a first and a second to get Ayuk.
Yeah, they're not going to trade Ayuk in division, but there are other wide receivers out there that have a similar or better profile that the Cards could go pay if they wanted to.
Now, I can't off the top of my head remember exactly what the 49ers finances look. If I recall correctly, they're actually in a decent spot because Purdy is dirt cheap. I can't remember if they have the room to Ayuk without doing some restructures or creative cuts or anything like that. I know the D-line is really expensive. If Ayuk has to get traded, let's see, who would have the resources and the willingness? Like Carolina's out because they don't have a first-round pick, and I think it would take a first to get Ayuk.
Really? In this class, you think it would take a first to get Ayuk? I don't think so.
Proven commodity.
Yeah, but like too many options for way cheaper. So I think a second would be tops.
It depends. It depends on if it's a team that it's like we got to win it in 2024, or a team that's like we got time, right? Because a team that's impatient and doesn't want to, say, take the time to develop a guy in like a Quentin Johnston type thing where it's like, hey, it might take a little bit. If they need somebody like right the hell now, I could see them giving it up for Ayuk, right?
Yeah, I guess that would be my indicator.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's go through the receiving class. Which guys are good enough and you think that will hit the ground running quick enough that you would do the rookie over Ayuk? So obviously Marvin, right?
Sure.
Odunze?
Yeah, because the financial offset is so huge. You're going to have to pay Ayuk like 25, 26 million a year.
Probably. Neighbors?
Yeah. Yeah.
Coleman?
Coleman, I would hesitate because he's awesome, but his envelope is smaller. He's more niche than the other three.
So now we're getting into like a maybe territory.
Right.
I'm trying to think who's one of the other top fives. I mean, the other kids, Johnny Wilson. There's the other LSU kid.
Brian Thomas.
Insert Texas receiver here.
Yeah, no, there's just so many that the financial offset is going to weigh really hard because the most you're going to pay for one of those guys is about $10 million a year, like less than half of what you're going to pay for Ayuk. So depending on what you need, like not just for your receiver core, but elsewhere in your organization, like what could you do with $15 million other dollars for this year?
Quite a bit.
A lot. That's 2, maybe 3 players of quality, depending on where you're looking. So anyways, I think because of that, they're not going to do that and a first. Like you say desperate, you would have to be like desperate, like super damn desperate.
Kel for $5. Got our bootleg gear from Homage today. Fantastic quality. Don't forget to pimp your merch. You are correct. And yes, it is very, very soft, and we love it.
It is
Mine
wonderful
is currently
stuff.
In the laundry baskets, which is why I'm not wearing it today. But
my son's should be in a laundry basket because he's been wearing it like 24/7 since he got it, and we're gonna need to pry it off him very soon because, well, for multiple reasons. But one, to get it clean. This happens to be Homage, and it happens to be the same charcoal heather, but it's a zip that I got off closeout from Homage well before we were ever sponsored by them. But it's the same, fuzzy material, and it's the same finish on the outside. So it's reminding me of mine. But yeah, everybody that we've given that stuff to or has received it, that ordered it, thank you very much, Kel, has said the same thing. Like, man, this stuff's awesome. And we knew they would. Like, that's why we wanted our stuff on Homage's gear, because it's really freaking comfortable.
Again, the link for that, by the way, is down in the description below, and we get a cut of every purchase. We also get a cut of literally anything you buy on Homage through our link, but we get even more of a cut if it's bootleg gear, because we are bootleg, and that makes sense.
We are bootleg. We are Legion.
Echo Warrior for $10. Thank you, Echo. Any thoughts on the Jets finally letting Zach, quote unquote, just rip it? And if he plays well over these final games, where would you want to see him go next year? Okay, well, first of all, I love that you did not succumb to the, well, maybe there's still a saving him narrative. With the Jets, there is no saving him. Yeah. Like, it's done in New York. Even if he plays well over this last month, it's done in New York. The question is, can he play well enough over this last month for them to get something back for him in a trade, even if it's like the same pick that, the Niners got for Trey Lance, right? Like, that is the goal, is to A, have Zach play well enough to build his confidence a little bit, and also to make him a somewhat decent trade chip. And also, it's on the Jets to send him to a place where he actually will have a better chance to succeed. Like, they owe him that. Send him to a place with a good structure, weapons, protection, coach, what have you. Kind of like how the Niners did for Lance. Like, they sent him to Dallas where there's a good offensive line and there's weapons, where if he needed to come in and play, there's a chance for him. Jets have to do that. As for destinations, I said it for Justin Fields, and I'll say it again for Zach Wilson. I think, sending him to the Rams to be with McVay would be good for him and good for his development. I would say, I mean, God, depending on if Bobby Slowick's going to be around for another year, you could look at him going to Houston as a backup for CJ. Not as an asset to CJ, but more so as like a QB3, right? That can sit there and learn and reset. In terms of going somewhere to learn behind a veteran, what makes sense for that? Where's a veteran that would be good for him? Do you got one?
Oh, I'd rather see him in San Francisco than their current stock of backups.
Who is the backup at San Francisco, actually, now that you mention it?
Darnold.
I think Sam's better, which I know, low bar, but I do think he's better.
Well, he's not better physically, that's for sure. But is he better mentally? Sure. But if anybody could rebuild that, like, that's what they were looking for. Like that, in terms of that physical profile, like that's what they were after when they went after Trey Lance. Like he has a lot of the same qualities as Trey. So, and if anybody can, well, I don't know if anybody can at this point. His experience in New York has been very detrimental to his growth as a quarterback. And I'm not sure that gets turned around. Daniel Jeremiah was on with Kevin Clark this week, and Kevin Clark asked him, hey, is there a quarterback you'd like to see get to a different spot so he could develop? And his answer was, man, I'd like to see Zach get to a different spot, because there are a lot of things that we all liked about him coming out in terms of physical profile, especially the way he could throw the ball. And obviously it has not gone well in New York. And, it would be really cool to see him get to a place. Now, he didn't specify which place, but it was an interesting answer given all the quarterbacks in the NFL that he had to choose from. DJ said Zach. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a good guy. He just he went to the vacuum where quarterbacks go to die. That's all.
It is a rough spot, and that's the thing. Is I was having this conversation with another colleague earlier today, and it's never wrong, just early. And one of my favorite, he said, what are your favorite hits in the draft? Is it guys that are blue chippers that you pick up high that you're right about? Or was it, guys in the middle rounds that you saw some real value for? I know you like UDFAs. Like, what's your favorite hit in the draft? And my answer was the guys that hit after 2 or 3 years, because either they move teams or a new coaching staff comes in and the scheme changes, or the guy in front of them finally goes down and they get a little bit of playing time, and all of a sudden the team goes, oh man, they're really good. And those guys that we trumpeted at that point 2 and 3 years before their opportunity to do that come on and finally like blossom, get some playing time and get some air and daylight and grow in front of your eyes are some of my favorite guys in the entire draft. It's like, see, told you, right? He needed a different opportunity. He needed a chance. He needed a little bit of time. He needed to grow, physically, whatever it was, like, and those guys coming in, it's like, yeah, the things we saw were true. It just took a second. And there are a lot of those guys that came up today because Austin Jackson just got extended by the Dolphins.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. I retweeted that because our buddy Brandon Thorne tweeted out, progression isn't linear. And I was like, there we go.
I got to say, man, from where Austin Jackson started out to where he's at now, like, Tua was not the only player that Mike McDaniel saved on that team.
No, not at all.
Like, it's unbelievable how much he has made their existing talent better. It's like, it's not just about bringing in new talent, but like making the guys that were already on the team better players. He made Tua better. He made Austin Jackson better. Like, both their guards were top 4 in the entire NFL in terms of pressure rate allowed. McDaniel's done a great job. I would even say, well,
no, I'm not just giggling.
I'm not going to say that Tyreek is better in Miami, but he is more productive. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, same skill set, but being again
used better.
You know, he was used really well in Kansas City. He's being maximized. Like I feel like I don't feel like there's any meat left on the bone.
Yeah, he might have a 2,000-yard season.
Yeah, like he's being everything he could be in Miami. So I was not laughing at you earlier. I was laughing because there was a very foreshadowing shot by the Amazon Prime crew of Rudolph standing in the tunnel, getting ready to go out.
Oh,
I was like, oh,
please God, no.
That's so cruel.
Icano for $10 with their first super chat here on this channel, by the way. Thank you, Icon. Hey, guys, you helped me so much in my football journey. I'm beginning my prep season to get down to 375 playing weight for a D2 school. I am going, hopefully, not to be a bench warmer for. Here's some for you. So you say getting down to 375?
I believe that was the terminology.
Brother, you're gonna play, okay? You're gonna play. They can't put you on the bench because you'll fucking break it, okay?
Right.
Holy
That's
shit,
awesome.
That's great.
That's really cool.
I'm wishing you all the success, man. 375. You're about to fucking murder some people down there, man. That's awesome. D2 is not used to seeing that kind of size. That's great. Love that. Love that. Jared also for $10. Thank you, Jared. Brett, a little bit ago, you said the best owners are the ones that open their checkbooks and shut the hell up. Wow, I can't read tonight. So in your opinion, who are the best owners in the NFL? P.S. Why did you skip my question in the Q&A? Which question did I skip? I thought I got
the one
yours.
You didn't want to answer.
Apparently. Was it asking for my social security number? Because I know you guys keep trying to get me on that one. No, I'll go back and answer it tonight just for you. As for best owners in the NFL that open the checkbook and go away, unironically, Stan Kroenke, which I know is a controversial statement because people in the state of Missouri absolutely despise him. But since he's gotten to L.A., if you look at what Stan Kroenke has done since he's gotten to L.A., he's just let Les Snead do whatever Les Snead wanted to do, make whatever moves he wanted to make. You know, the Stafford trade, acquiring Ramsey, acquiring Odell, everything that they did to basically buy a championship caliber roster. Stan let Les Snead do it and paid for it, like without a second thought. You know, they do all these crazy, or did all these crazy cap things to kind of kick the can down the road, get a ring, and then they just ate it, right? And they're like, all right, we'll rebuild. And we'll change our approach. Now we're going to shotgun it. We're going to get like 14 rookies in one draft class, and we're going to go back to building a base of talent. And guess what? They're probably gearing up to do that same kind of tactic again once all the books are clear and they have a bunch of young, cheap talent. Guess what? They're going to go buy a bunch of stars and make another run here. And you can't do that without an owner that's willing to spend, not to mention all the money that he's spent on facilities, on staff. He pays Sean McVay whatever Sean McVay wants because he knows that he can't just go get another Sean McVay. He's willing to spend a lot on assistants, on the stadium. Like, he opens the checkbook and then he lets the football people do their jobs. And they want a ring because of that. So you can hate Stan Kroenke for a lot of reasons. And believe me, there are a lot of reasons. But he does his job as an owner. And I think he's good at it. What about you, EJ?
I have owners that I like, and they don't necessarily fit. They don't necessarily fit the just here's your money, and I'll keep my hands completely off. I have owners I like less too. I think Kroenke's a good one, and I think math is really important for people, and math is tough when you go between millions and billions. Like, most people don't know the difference. They just think it's an M and a B, and they think it factors like directly, and it does not. So when people are like, oh, he just ate 60 million to pay that coach to not coach for 3 years, like,
it's nothing to them,
dude. His net worth, like Tepper's net worth, was listed at either 40 or 60 billion. I don't know.
Is it that much?
Yep.
So
and I'm like, do you realize how much money that is? Like, I don't think people do. And my favorite conversion to get people thinking the right way about it is, how long is a million seconds?
a million seconds? Oh,
A million
probably
seconds.
like a month or something like that.
That's like 11 days.
Oh God. Okay.
And
so,
how
so
long is a billion seconds?
probably like a couple decades.
31 and a half years.
Jesus Christ.
So when people are like, oh, well, he paid like a million or 10 million or 20 million, that's gotta hurt. And you're talking about somebody, and there are many somebodies in the NFL ownership core who own multiple billions, in this case, tens of billions. Like, think about that. Like, if you spent $1 every second, every day, every night for 31 years, you would go through $1 billion. If you own 40 or 60 billion of those and your net worth is increasing, which it probably is, you can't spend all your money. Like, you literally can't. So they don't care about 20 million, 100 million, 150 million.
It's nothing. It's nothing.
It does not register, like, at all. So the difference between millions and billions is a big deal. A lot of people don't understand it. And, some owners do not have that kind of money and do not spend that way. I think about, and then there are other owners that, like, the confused ownership groups. And by confused, I mean, not like a super clear line of succession, or, there was the Seattle ownership sort of like, okay, so who owns the team now? And, it's quieted down. I don't know that it's been resolved. You look at like stadium issues in like Tennessee, like that stadium's not that old, but it's crumbling, and now they want a new one. And
by the way, I need to see who the GC was on that Titan Stadium, because that should not be that bad after 20 years. Like,
it's pretty bad.
Like,
so
it cut corners on that shit. Like, you can't convince me they didn't.
And then you see people that want to, that really do want to invest and are pushing for big upgrades. And, I think it's very interesting to think of the Rams strategy, not in the short term, right? But like you said, in the long term, that they're going to go through these phases. They're in the trough right now, and they're fine with pivoting, and they're still spending money on staff and facilities and everything else. And if a year or two from now they're ahead of their targets and hitting peaks a little bit early, and they go, hey man, we want to sign whomever, the answer is going to be yes. If the coaching staff wants them and thinks they'll fit, they've proven they can do it that way previously. So, I don't know. There's a lot of different approaches. There's ones I don't like. I'm not a huge fan of the Bears ownership. I always thought that was kind of a cop out. That was always kind of a loser argument. Oh, things won't change until the ownership changes. Started to believe that more over the past couple of years, because there's just, in terms of like decision making, it's not high quality decision making, and that makes it very difficult to win underneath that. Right. If you keep making the wrong decisions over and over again, that's the kind of thing that can really keep a team down, and has kept a team down for a very long time. But yeah, the NFL's odd with ownership. I mean, you talk about Green Bay and some public ownership and stakeholders and shareholders, and then you talk about singular sort of quiet owners that have a lot of money but almost never interact with the press, and then quite the opposite, very public owners who have a lot of money, like Irsay or Tepper, and are very happy to interact with the press, which isn't always the best thing. It's just a fascinating watch, like, of this whole reality TV that we call NFL football.
Ikano says, hey guys, I don't want to super again. How heavy is too heavy for a defensive tackle? I've heard conflicting reports. Could help me out. It depends on the type of defensive tackle you're going to be. Tavondre Sweat at Texas, I believe, is like 360. So like
they list him at 360, but if he's not 375, I'd be shocked.
Like you'll be in the ballpark. Like it'll still be bigger than usual for a nose tackle, but I see nose tackles at 320. I see nose tackles at 365. I would say, depending on how tall you are, like if your frame can healthily carry 350, shoot for 350.
Yeah.
If you think you can go down to 340, go down to 340. But
I don't think it's as much
thing.
a weight thing. Yeah, I don't think it's as much a weight thing because I've seen guys that are, 290, but incredibly, like 5'10", 290 playing in Division II who are incredibly strong and really effective.
And they're
They
5'10", so they're just a square.
Yeah, they play their role really well. And I've seen huge guys. I've seen guys that are 380, 385 that can't play a lick because they're just soft. Yeah. They're not in shape. They're not well conditioned. And yeah, they're massive, but they, in terms of like moving people and compressing gaps and doing things that you need to do to run your role in the defense, that's probably more important than a number on a scale. So,
all right, Patriots out for their first play in 12 personnel, mainly because they don't have any receivers.
Ouch.
And immediate TFL. Uh-oh. TJ's hurt.
Is it TJ?
Yeah, I think so. I think he
sure is.
I think he got tagged by a puller that he didn't see coming.
Oh, that is not an injury they can afford. All right, let's see what happened.
They're not showing a replay.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, I'm on the Prime.
Oh no, he took a knee in the face.
Oh, that would explain why he was on his back. I'm on Prime Vision. You on the normal broadcast?
I'm on the normal broadcast, and he took Ezekiel Elliott's knee right in his mug. I'm surprised his mouth isn't bleeding, actually, because he got every bit of – Zeke was in the air. It was not like he kneed him in the face. Like he was literally diving over Minka, and he ended up kneeing TJ in the face. That was a tough hit.
Yeah, they'll have the neurologist check him out.
Oh, boy. Zeke showing a little bit of pizzazz.
Really undisciplined pursuit, by the way, because you had three guys taking the same angle. You're supposed to have one chasing
the outside. Yeah.
One got to chase the back of the hip. One got to chase the front hip. You can't all be chasing the front hip or he's going to shake all three of you.
And did. Oh, yeah. He's looking at his neck and his jaw. Man, that is a tough shot on cold night. He's going to feel that.
Yeah, especially for the first play.
Because Zeke is, speaking of weights, Zeke is thinned out a little bit. Oh, deep. Complete.
Wow. An explosive play to Juju. He already hit his higher, I think. I'm pretty sure he was at like 30 yards.
We can throw that in Zappy's bucket. Wow. Oh, caught it off KZ's back.
That's a great catch.
Yeah, it is. And that's okay. Can we talk about that being a somewhat ill-advised throw regardless of the result?
Somewhat ill-advised?
Well, it is into double coverage.
And it's underthrown.
Yeah. Boy, I got to say, Zeke looks a little peppy. Maybe it's just that he, hasn't been being used as much this year. He's a little fresher later in the season, but I haven't seen him bounce like that in a while. All right, TJ's back in. He's not missing, but yeah, I would not be surprised if he's got looks like his bottom lip got a little bit split maybe.
Yeah. Zach for $2, hoping one bottle of wine is enough.
Might take the over.
Yeah. We'll see.
Take the over. How's everybody's weather tonight, by the way? We've got weird weather here. So
some 65 and crisp.
Oh, not your weather. You don't have weather. You have SoCal. It's different.
Weather.
It's not weather. It's whether or not you want to go outside. That's your weather. No, it's been raining like crazy here. Like Pineapple Express, lots and lots of precipitation. I think they said we might get 3 total inches this week, and I think we're probably well on our way to that. But it's been really warm. It's been unseasonably warm, like almost 60, because, again, warm, moist air coming up from basically like Hawaii and bringing lots of moisture. Just let the dogs out before we started, and it's getting cold. It's like 39 now, and everything is soaked. So could be fun. We'll see how much farther it goes down.
Yeah, I had enough cold for the month when I was in Colorado. I'm good.
I bet you did.
Nice job by Zappy escaping out the back door.
Yeah, peppy little run from him. That's a good decision. And if he keeps making good decisions, I think this offense will move better than it did under Mac. He's just got to limit the bad decisions. And even, a play that turned out really positive was not a great decision. So interested to see him sort of string quality decisions together. And if he does, I think this Patriots team can make a little bit of noise against even, what has been a very good Pittsburgh defense this year.
TJ looks like he's just in hell right now.
It's not fun to get literally hit in the face in the first 5 minutes of what you got to do for the next 3 hours.
All right, second down in the middle of the red zone. Trips to the field. Oh, they're going to motion Taekwon. Are we going to get a shallow here? Oh, no, it's a return.
Oh, they got it.
They're just doing a man zone check. All right.
Made sure they had the corner, gave it to Zeke, and he finished.
Patriots immediately marched down the field.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just zappy to be here. Nice sign, kid. We love it.
Well, the Patriots did something that I didn't think they were capable of tonight.
Scoring?
Just mount a competent drive at all.
Yeah.
That's a great call, too, against man coverage. A lot of coaches call that a dragon concept or a slant flat combo. If you're getting a man coverage look, and there's a second level defender that has to run basically through the path of the slant route to then match it, it could be really, really tough for them to match it out to the flat because they either have to go under it or go over it. So you're almost guaranteeing that the catch will be made. And then if you do get caught in traffic, even by a couple steps, unless the safety makes a Herculean play, you're kind of screwed. So great call there and a great answer by Zappy to kind of work the man side of the concept. And
again, quality decision, right? Look at your indicator. They gave him motion to give him the indicator on the defense. Defense didn't move in a way that made him upset about what he knew was going to be a open leak to the right. Takes it. That's an easy looking touchdown compared to what we were expecting. I wanted to go back to a super chat from JH for $20. Thank you, JH. Big picture question. Why is most NFL coverage so reactionary these days? From YouTube to the networks, it's like they forget the last 30 years of history and pronounce teams and QBs dead or alive based on 1 or 2 weeks. Yep, that's very true. And there is a structural reason for that, and it is neither of our favorites. It is neither of our favorites. It is one of the reasons, interestingly enough, that we started Bootleg, is both of us thought that there was a lack of nuance in a lot of what was said about football in general, and both of us hate the sort of shoutcore culture from sports media and the sort of binary black, white, yes, no, wrong, right, bust or goat, nothing in between. That frustrated us, and we felt like there was a lot of room to operate there, and a lot of topics that weren't being explored with sort of the proper focus. And that was one of the reasons, among many, that we started this thing, whatever it is now. Podcast live stream, but it is about money. It is about clicks, and it is about being able to pronounce something and, one way or another definitively, and be able to move on, because the sort of sit and wait doesn't play real well. So it's better to just come down loudly, be right or wrong. They don't really care, many of them, and that is distressing to Brett and I. They don't really care. They're not thoroughly invested in their takes, and they might sound like they are. In fact, they try to sound like they are, because that sells, but many of them are not, and will come back and say something cross purpose to that as soon as the week after, as long as it plays. So it's a great observation. It is true. It is rampant. And when you find places, if that is not a thing that you like, if you find places that treat things with a little bit more detail and nuance, support those places. That's the only way there will be more of them.
It's there's a trope. Maybe trope's not the word for it, but it's called a fire hose of misinformation, which is if you just overwhelm somebody with bullshit, they're not going to be able to respond to everything, nor will they be able to process everything. And if you do that enough, they'll just kind of accept it. And I think there's a lot of mainstream sports media that treats that as gospel, right? And it's a fire hose of bullshit because there's the run for Trubisky. Yeah, see, told you.
How many did he need?
12 and a half. 12 and a half.
12 and a half?
He got all in one play.
Yeah, he's done. Green that up.
But also, another thing you have to consider is in an NFL season, like, takes only last for a couple days, right? Because between Monday and Thursday, there's 2 days in between weeks. And then you got to talk about the next week. And nothing really has to stick because the next week is always the only one that matters. It's the only one that people pay attention to. So you can be wrong over and over again on bad information that is used either disingenuously or carelessly, and nobody gives a shit. Yeah, don't even get me fucking started. And nobody cares because then the next week is in 2 days, and then there's going to be more takes, and then who cares if those are wrong because the next games are going to be in 2 days, and it's a constant cycle, right? If you're doing preseason picks,
repeat.
Yeah, nobody cares if you're wrong or right. And to be honest, I don't even care if you're wrong or right. I just care if you at least use the information in a not disingenuous way. Like, you can be wrong. Like, I'm wrong all the time, right? But at least I try to put care and nuance into my opinions so that, if I'm wrong, there was at least a genuine effort behind it and not just I'm going to recite some bullshit that I didn't even research because it doesn't care or it doesn't matter. Nobody cares, right? Like, I don't mind if somebody's wrong.
Reason. Yeah, no, you got there for a reason. You used a methodology. You're saying these are my beliefs. This is evidence. This is how I'm backing it up. And look, weird stuff happens in all sports, but especially in the NFL. Oh boy, there it is. He's over. That's why they didn't give it to us.
That's why they didn't let you go higher on Trubisky interceptions.
They will not. Man,
I knew it was coming. First drive.
Stared and stared and stared and threw it. And this is why.
Flag,
but I think it's after. Oh, no. It is not after.
Oh, they called PI. Oh, man.
All right, let's see it. Is there a reason this is an easy ball to pick off? Yeah. Sure. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean,
anytime if you're going to slingshot off a guy's hips and take it to your advantage and get a pick, like if it's not away from the play, you're 100% getting that call.
I get it, but
less.
Boy, I've seen stuff let go that's a lot worse.
Not so much this year, man. They are all about that little hip drag that last year seemed like was called much more softly or much less often. This year, if you get a hand on somebody's hip and just even turn the hip like the slightest bit of impedance and boop, laundry's coming out this year.
All right. 2nd and I think 7 is what it is here.
They're officially calling it 2nd 6.
Okay.
Yep.
So typically for the Patriots, you're going to get either cover 3 or quarters here. Looks like they're in cover 3.
Wow. A flat out pitch. Like, I have not seen a flat out pitch like that in a bit.
You don't watch enough Patriots football then, and I commend you for that because it's not fun.
Oh, you mean Steelers football?
Or Steelers football, sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say, Even the Patriots will pitch it. They're one of the teams that will pitch it, but not that far.
Yeah,
like that's
Canada would call that at least like once a game.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
All right, this looks too high. Are they going to expand out to cover 2? Let's see. I wouldn't want to put
Oh, he took the bait. Oh, I'm sorry. As someone that has watched Trubisky's entire journey from North Carolina to his time in the league, I feel a little bit like a fortune teller at this moment, because I'm like, they gave him oh geez, he took it.
Well, and you saw in terms of the depth that the penetrate, like, hold on, whiteboard moment, because they did that on purpose to get Trubisky to step up into the guy that was folding over the top. And he did it. He did exactly like, see, this is the thing, is the Patriots defenders are going to go over to the sideline and go, man, these guys, they know what they're talking about. They told us that was going to happen, and it happened just like that. All right. So this is what's called a TE game. The Patriots, let's see, they either call it me or you. They don't call it TE or ET. They call it me and you. So it's basically like either me as the penetrator, or if the edge is doing it, you is the penetrator. Again, I don't know why Bill calls it me and you, but he does. Right? Either way, inside threat. Here's what you're doing. You're attacking the inside shoulder of this tackle. You're trying to get the guard to come with you. That's literally all you're trying to do. And you're trying to get as vertical as humanly possible. You're trying to make it look like you're not setting up a looper inside, but more so that you're just trying to bend the corner in this B gap. Meanwhile, the edge, he's going to kind of slow play it. He's going to wait. He's not looping around. He's not like stopping and then looping over the top. He's just slow playing it and waiting for the tackle to go by him, because instinctually, what a lot of quarterbacks do is if they start to see jersey color flash out of the corner of their eye behind them, they're naturally going to step up, right? Because they know that the angle of their protection is going to be behind them. So you get as much penetration into the B gap. You ride the inside shoulder of the tackle. You try to get the quarterback to see you out of the corner of his eye so he can step up. This edge is going to slow play it and then fold back in to get the sack as soon as the quarterback gets flushed up. So it's kind of playing into pocket tendencies of quarterbacks in terms of how they handle pressure, especially behind them if it's a right-handed quarterback, right? So, again, I can't remember if they call it me or you. It's one of those two. I always get them confused. But it's a staple of the Patriots. They run that shit all the time, and it generally works. You and me as the penetrator. Yeah, I probably didn't think that one through, did I?
No, you did not. But that's all right. They didn't think it through before they called it me and you, because that's just dumb. Oh, here it is. Oh, man. Yeah, he gets a knee right in the chops. Ooh.
I'm surprised he didn't lose a tooth.
He might have loosened one with that. That is enough shot to have done that. And he's over there huffing on the smelling salts, man. Yikes.
Matthew Wright for $5. Just wanted to shout out Bears legend Robbie Gould and congratulate him on his retirement. Yes, Bears legend and 49ers legend Robbie Gould.
Yeah, really somebody that had an equally good second act. Like his time with the Bears was excellent, and then it wasn't, and that's how kickers move on. He did have a lull. There was good reason for the Bears to move on. Most organizations will not hang through a kicker's lull. But huge credit out to Robbie, reestablished himself with the 49ers and kicked at a very high level for another long time, almost equal to his time with the Bears. That is a tremendous career. Okay. Bad decision.
Yeah, these quarterbacks are, boy, yeah, they're really letting their aggressive side take over tonight, huh?
Well, he got away with one, and I don't know if that's better or worse, because is it harder to tell that guy when he comes back to the sideline, like, look, I know you got a chunk play and I know we scored a touchdown because of it, but don't do that again, right? And he's like, I'll show you. I'll throw in double coverage again. So
they're still working on TJ's jaw.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he didn't loosen up a tooth.
Well, they had a doctor with his hand in his mouth earlier, so I'm like, were they pulling a molar or something?
I think if anything, he probably loosened one up. He didn't lose it, but yeah.
I guess we'll see. I mean, he's a tough dude. He's not going to come out of the game regardless, but he just looks like he's hurting. Like, he looks uncomfortable.
Well, you can tell his lips all swollen up, and yeah, he's not loving life right now.
No. All right, this looks like cover 2. They look like they're going to expand out of this, especially on 3rd and 7. Oh, no, they rolled down.
There we go. No.
Really interesting disguise there. Super late roll down into a middle field close structure. Are they calling Hunter Henry on OPI? Oh,
yep.
Shit. Okay.
Okay, his release off the line is not exactly lightning quick.
Wow, it's Hunter Henry.
Yeah. Oh, just push at the corner. They got Kelsey for that early in the Chiefs game this week with a little bit less. And Bill's saying, look, my tight ends have been doing that for years. What are you calling it for now?
They tend to be more strict with tight ends on it just because they have such a size advantage. You know?
Yeah, and if you extend the arms, just for people following along, where the call differ, you can put your hands on somebody as a tight end, but if you extend the arms, if you lock your elbows, like, you're going to get the call.
JH for $2. Awesome to know. That's why I'll support you guys. Well, we appreciate your support. And thank you for a very good question.
Yeah, excellent question. And one that we talk about pretty often. People ask me, at least, all the time what we talk about when we don't talk about football, as rare as that is, because we're always talking about football.
Google Docs, generally.
Yeah. When I'm down at Brett's house, or we're on the road in an event or whatever, he's up here and we have whatever downtime and we're not talking about, where we're going to get something to eat or something else. Like, we end up talking about the landscape that we work in, the sort of digital media landscape, and YouTube and Amazon and, broadcast deals and other contributors and what kind of path they're forging through the industry or not. We end up talking about that a lot, and it's not all sports media creators either. In fact, a lot of them aren't, and we're both of us sort of interested in trends and I'd say early indicators of where things are going, or things that are aging out, right? Things that are not going to be viable in a year or two. So yeah, we spend a lot of time on that.
Basically, what he's saying is we're workaholics, and we have yet.
Yeah, it did kind of sound like that, didn't it? Damn it!
What do you think when you're not thinking about your job? Oh, well, I think about my job. That's exactly what you said.
I think about the higher level stuff in my job, not the day to day. Oh man, yeah, that was not a great answer. Baseball cards. Baseball cards.
That one day I'll get to play Diablo 4 again, maybe.
You lie.
For the first time since June.
Lie. I remember when I first met you and you're like, oh, I'm a gamer. And you obviously are very well versed in video games. And I was like, oh, sweet. Maybe we'll game sometime. Fun fact, Brett and I, we've known each other 4.5 years.
Never once.
We have never played a video game together, ever.
Usually when we get together, it's because we're working and we don't have time to. But I don't know. I would love to play Warzone eventually, but I have zero confidence that I'll have the time to play Warzone with you eventually.
It's funny.
Half the reason you should come down here for the draft is just so that we can take like an hour and just fuck around on whatever.
You lie. So there are lies that we tell ourselves. And by we, I mean us in general, not just Brett and I. But One of my favorite lies that I told myself earlier in my life is we used to take this week-long mountain biking trip up into the interior BC. We did it every summer, same 3 guys. We'd take 2 trucks and we'd do truck shuttles and we'd go to resorts and do lift access riding and all that stuff. And we'd go like 9-10 days. And we would always say, we're gonna take a rest day this year. We're gonna like skip, and we're gonna go like fuck off and drink beer, play mini golf, or we're gonna, go sit by the pool or go, whatever. And it got to be a joke after like 4 years because we'd never done it. Like we would always be like, no, this is the year. We're gonna do it. We're gonna take a day off, right? We're gonna take a break. And it just got to be a thing that we knew we were never gonna do. And strangely enough, I think it was the last year we did it. We actually did. Like it was pissing down rain one of the last days of the trip in Whistler, and we all looked at each other. We're all, because you get really beat up, you get really sore, and your bikes get beat up, and like we just looked at each other. We're like, do you really want to pay like $50 to go ride in the slop, all beat up at the end of a 10-day trip? Like, let's go see a movie. Like, so we went and saw a movie in Whistler Village, and I have to say, it was very odd.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel right.
It was very strange, but I don't know. We, didn't break ourselves on the hill, so it worked out okay.
2nd and 10 here for Trubisky once again.
Steelers getting back to a little bit more of that, like, let's grind it out run game. Like, let's not put the ball in the air 50 times tonight.
If you thought they were going to do anything but run the ball on 2nd and 10, I mean, they're the poster child for 2nd and 10 runs.
I understand, but they came out whipping it around the yard. Like, not going to work out for you.
So it sets up 3rd and medium. Dollars to donuts. This should be man coverage by the Patriots. Kind of looks like, oh, man, they're in a tight bunch. All right, let's see how they handle that.
Oh, I think they're going to bring somebody. Nope. They rush 4.
They're going to lock and level that bunch. Looks like they are.
And guess what Trubisky throws into?
It's, yeah.
Right? I mean, this is what kills me when people are like, well, Trubisky might start. And I'm like, God help you. Please don't let that happen.
It's just, if you're going to.
He's been in the league a long time. Like, that was not what I would consider a disguised coverage. There was the possibility of an extra rusher, but I'm not going to call that disguised coverage.
No, and just based on tendency, they're going to be in man coverage. It's just a matter of which type of man coverage. What's their bunch check going to be? Is it going to be, a funnel call where they're going to pass it off? Or is it going to be lock and level where everybody's going to be matched? It was lock and level. And if you're going to try to beat a lock and level bunch check from one rat, the throw that you don't make is an inside release go. Like, that's not the throw you make there.
Right, because you're not going to get the depth over the safety, and you're not going to have the leverage on the corner. So, like, what are you doing?
It's basically a fucking clear out. It's an alert if they happen to go into something else.
Right.
But, like, come on.
The only way you throw it is on a bust if the guy just flat out mailboxes.
Yes.
Like, if you look up and that guy's like, he fell down, like, then you throw it. Ooh, speaking of nice catch. All right,
Taekwon, halfway to his number. Let's go.
Our guy Taekwon stretching out for that one. One of the things that's really interesting to me about Taekwon is he had a very, very slight build. We got to see him up close to Shrine Bowl, and he was very slight there as well. Very fast, very tall, great hands, super tough for his build, but slight build. Like, he's very thin below the knee. You can see his arms aren't super buff. He's not one of those guys. Usually between year 1 and year 2, like, there's a jump. You see, like, even Trevor Lawrence, like, put on a bunch of muscle.
Yeah, like, when they realize, like, oh, I need armor.
Yeah, exactly. Taekwon looks about the same.
Yeah, no, he's 100% the same. Some guys just can't put it on. It's just biologically.
It is true. I mean, Devonta Smith hasn't gotten a ton bigger. Another, former Patriot, Jack Jones, was always quite slight and didn't look like he really packed on a bunch of muscle. Ooh,
nice job by Zappy stepping up and delivering.
Yeah, and takes a forearm under the chin too.
Yeah, that was a good play by him.
I liked what I saw from him when he played last year. I thought he had a lot of moxie. I thought he did make good. Well, he makes very quick decisions. I thought generally he made pretty good decisions. He made a bunch of rookie decisions, and that's always going to be a thing with any rookie signal caller. But I thought that there was enough there to sort of explore and say, hey, like this guy could be, what do I want to say, like Gardner Minshew-esque. Like he can come in and play a bunch,
a backup that you're kind of like, okay, maybe, right?
Yeah, like might be better than average over an extended period of games. Again, not like he's going to be fighting for one of the 32 starting spots, or probably shouldn't be, but like a capable quarterback in the NFL, which there's a lot to be said for, because there's a lot of number twos in this league that are not super capable. Like, I'll throw you a curveball. Zappy
behind Rager there.
Yeah, Zappy or Drew Lock?
There's a perfectly good 30-second floor balcony over there. All right. That sounds like a better option.
Yeah, at this point, I'm gonna go Zappy just because I saw Drew Lock live this year, and like, nope.
I guess. I don't have to feel good about it.
Okay. Oh, wow. He's going to let it go, man. He is the whole Minshew thing I had not thought of before, but now I'm like,
these kinds of guys always do that, though, because like they never get to play. And so
they're like, give him a chance.
When we get out there, because we never get to play, we're just going to rip it and see what happens and hope for the best, right? Like it's the Kevin Cobb effect.
Yeah, it's the don't take the check down no matter what.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, he had Hunter Henry.
He had Hunter Henry right wide ass open.
Yeah, he had 85 just staring him in the face, standing there with his numbers towards him.
No, but he's gonna take the shot because fuck it, why not?
I guess that's what that is. That's kind of rugged.
Nicholas Cox for $5 says, Buffalo, it's snowing and I'm cold. Also, Brett, for every time a team scores, I think you should take a shot of Malort. Strategically, I took a lot of medications today, so I have a doctor's note that I can't drink today. So,
I love it. He has medical protection from himself.
You can't basically get me now.
No, you can't get you now. Because nobody made you do that.
Let's see. I think I only have probably like one TNF game's worth of Malort anyway. And I think
one average TNF
game. Yeah, true. DMAC Wakefield for $5 as well. Thank you, DMAC. Is there hope for the Chiefs offense? It depends on how you define hope. Like hope for them to do enough to win a Super Bowl? Yes, there is. Hope for them to somehow turn into one of the most productive and or most explosive offenses in the league out of nowhere 14 weeks into the season? Probably not. I think at this point they are what they are. If they were going to be anything but what they are, I think we would have seen it by now. They are extremely yak reliant. They are extremely I don't want to say conservative. What's the word? One-dimensional? Maybe is the best way to put it. Like they get by on quick throws, yards after catch, especially to Rashee Rice. Travis Kelce finding holes in zones and just kind of, reading defenses as well as Pat does and just finding space regardless of whatever route is called. They run the ball with Pacheco. They set the tone on defense. They play the field position game. They try not to make mistakes. And then when a play absolutely has to be made, Mahomes will either do it with his legs or he'll throw it up to like Justin Watson and pray to God that he makes the catch. Like that's what they are. They are an offense that for the first time in the Mahomes era doesn't really have a margin for error. So when they get a crucial Sky Moore drop in the fourth quarter, the sky is falling, right? That used to not matter because they could come back and just chuck it down the field the next play and get it all back. They don't have the luxury of missing on those right now. And that's why they're so reliant on Yak and they're so reliant on Mahomes' legs. And, again, like the one big Justin Watson catch per game, like that's kind of all they got right now. So it's a one-dimensional offense with no margin for error. They can still win a Super Bowl with it because their defense is incredible, but like their path is a lot less forgiving than most Chiefs teams would be.
They look, for lack of a better term, very human as an offense, and they have looked very inhuman for the last 2 or 3 years. So we're not used to seeing them like that. But again, the defense is better than it ever has been. It's been good before, but the defense is damn near lockdown. And so they're winning still, which is very familiar to Chiefs fans, but they're doing it in a very different way because they can't, like Brett said, just go pick it up whenever they want to. They've been able to in the past.
It reminds me so much of the Bears, honestly. like Bears of like a couple of years ago, where it felt like they had to make every play because they weren't going to get a second chance.
How do the Chiefs remind you of the Bears?
Like 2019 Bears, right?
Oh, okay.
Where it's where it's like if they missed the one throw they were going to get down the field, if they overthrew like on a busted coverage, you're like, oh, you're not going to get that again.
It was like when Zappy threw that one to Taekwon and hit him in the hands last week and he didn't catch it. I was like, oh, come on. That's the only one you're going to get. Like, you're not going to get another one. That's not how this works.
Speaking of 2019 Bears, Mitch Trubisky.
Run. Yikes. All right. JJP for $4.99. So, like, as a Steelers fan, when do I start praying for Quinn Ewers in black and gold? You might have to wait a year. There's talk that he might head back to Texas, refine his game. He is one of those guys. We had a conversation. Is it on a podcast? Live stream podcast, I think, about Spencer Rattler last week and how Spencer Rattler came into his what turned out to be his last year at Oklahoma with a lot of preseason hype and a lot of, he could be one of the top quarterbacks picked. It just didn't work out for him that way. Ended up, not only going back to school for another year, but transferring to South Carolina, refining his game for another couple of years. Ewers is a guy that came in with a lot of even pre-college hype as a high school recruit. Then, a lot of fanfare when he hit Texas. This is it. And, Texas is back, which
eventually they were. It took a couple
Can I get
years.
A ruling? Yeah, can I get a ruling on the Texas
playoffs
back jokes? Because they're in the playoffs. Like, it feels
back.
like that joke is done. We'll relegate that to the joke heap. But no, Ewers had a very shaky stretch through the middle of this season. I saw him live against Kansas this year, and he was not generally impressive. They won that game with defense and a mashing run game. Like, he hit a couple shots, but in general, he couldn't move the offense. It was not good. They were talking about replacing him while I was there, and that was early in the season. That was end of September.
But then you end up with the Oklahoma State game where he throws for 1 billion yards and 4 touchdowns, and that's what's hard about Ewers is you don't know which ones.
He's very up and down, And so he's looking for some consistency. So Ewers might not be the guy. When do you start, drinking and praying for somebody as a top quarterback prospect to be in Pittsburgh? Soon, I would say. I don't think Kenny's a long-term answer as a sort of threatening number one on a power team in the AFC that's going to be able to take on, the AFC power du jour and win a Super Bowl, right? Do I feel confident about a Kenny Pickett-led offense standing up against a Joe Burrow-led offense at full strength? No, I'm going to bet on Joe like every time. And if that's the case for your quarterback against a quarterback that's actually in your division, not to mention Lamar, not to mention you got to upgrade. So I would say the time to start wishing and praying for that is now as a Steelers fan, because it's needed if they're going to take another step on offense. Whether or not it's Ewers or insert top quarterback prospect X here, I think matters less.
Something that I've been kind of following that I find fascinating is about a month ago, we were looking at this quarterback class as potentially historic, like not just because the guys at the top, right? The top 3, but all the depth at the position. We're like, oh my God, like there's so many guys coming out this year. And then one by one, they all kind of made it known that they weren't going to mess around with this class and that they were going to go back. And like Cam Ward, we thought could come out. Nope, hit in the portal. DJU, we thought would come out. Nope, hit in the portal. Riley Leonard, hit in the portal. Ewers, waffling. Like all the depth is staying in school, right?
Yeah, you knew they would though. That was the thing, is you knew when they started looking and saying, hey, my best shot, like my best case scenario in this class is QB 8.
I mean, some of them I could have argued as like 4 or 5, but
some of them, but again, apple of the beholder's eye, right?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Mitch.
Okay. Did I say beer runs between quarters? I did, didn't I?
I
think I'm gonna need to.
That's a classic Mitch pick
look at
too.
Look at the Mitch look though. Like,
where'd he come from?
Like, what happened there? Like, he's still doing that in year whatever this is, 6 or 7. Like, he's still looking at the field like, wow, what happened there? Like, you can't have that. Like, you just can't have that.
I'm pretty sure he back-footed that one too.
Yeah, so Duggars gets inside on him. Warren doesn't get a shot, and Freiermuth wasn't even turned around. Like, there were 2 Patriots with a shot at that, and Freiermuth wasn't even turned around. Like, that is not a, like, almost type pick. Like, that's a terrible throw. Okay, 3, I missed the jumper.
Oh, man. Hell of a rush by Duggar, though, to split that and force a bad throw.
And get around Jaylen Warren, who is a very good blocker in pass pro.
Great rush by Duggar. Damn.
Yeah.
All right, well, Patriots are in business again.
Yeah, so we're going to have this conversation many times throughout draft season, but yes, what was looking like 11, 12, 13 deep at quarterback is slowly paring down and will probably pare down by a couple of more. Still going to be a good class. Is that
Highsmith? Oh, my God, dude. The hits keep on coming.
Speaking of injuries you cannot afford, and TJ has already taken a knee next to him?
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it was...
Not good.
Let's see. All right. So he's standing up. I hope this wasn't non-contact.
He looked okay through the hit there.
I really can't tell what happened.
No, there wasn't any, like, particular moment of, oh, no. But you couldn't see what happened to his legs sort of in the pile. Anyways, there's an injury that Pittsburgh can't afford as much as they can't afford an injury to Watt or Minka. Like, Highsmith is the next guy on that defensive line. You could argue Hayward, but like, he's been incredibly productive for them, and they need that pressure.
Store for $5 said Rams activating Operation Save Zach Wilson. I missed that one before. That's funny.
Maybe. Alex Humphreys for $1.99. This game is a masterpiece of bad football. Not yet. This is just a sketch. Wait till we bring out the colors. Oh boy. Like, we are 1 quarter into this. If it's going to be a masterpiece, it's got to pull strong all the way through 4 quarters.
Tom Coke for $5. Is it cope that Bears fans think that they can get a first-round pick for Fields? I feel like if teams are offering a first, then you know who your starter is. I don't think teams are going to offer a first for Fields. I would be stunned. I would
agree. Yeah.
Like, there's no way that they get a first for Fields. I would say, depending on the team, you could sell me on a 2.
Yeah,
at max, but most likely they'll get a 3. Because again, you're not just trading for a quarterback in Fields. You're trading for a quarterback in Fields that is 1 year away from needing an extension, if you plan on keeping around long term anyway. So, you're basically trading for the opportunity to maybe pay Justin Fields. You're not going to spend a super high pick on that.
Yeah, and if Fields is just such a frustrating subject for me because I believe in Justin Fields. I've said several times and will continue to say that I don't think that Justin Fields' future is in Chicago. And that's not because of Justin Fields. Like, Justin Fields is a very good player. And yes, there are things he does not do well, but he will not at this point. Just like you said at the top of this, Zach Wilson is not going to make it in New York with the Jets. That's not happening. Like, Justin Fields is not making it in Chicago with the Bears, I don't think. I wish in many ways that he would. It would be damn convenient to have 2 top 5 picks and already be settled on who your quarterback is. That would be awesome. I would love that. It is not the case of where they are right now.
We getting 2-man here? No, they're going to roll down. What are they in? 1 rat maybe?
Oh, great catch.
Put it up where only your 6'5" tight end can get it.
Yeah, and he can still do that. Hunter Henry is past the point where he can just run by guys by several years now, but he can still elevate, and he's got a good set of hands. It's exactly how you should be using him. And what's frustrating to me, and certainly more so to Patriots fans, is that he's been that guy all year, and they haven't been using him like that. So, why now?
Man coverage look pre-snap. Oh, man, that was actually a really nifty release from Henry. Jab outside, win inside. DB might have fallen down there, but either way, in a man coverage look, if you have a height advantage like that, you throw it up and you throw it with leverage and you just give him a chance to go win. That's exactly what he did. Great play. And
on top of that, Steelers 22 turned his back. He wasn't looking. He had no shot to defend that.
Max Robinson for $10. Have to get my Saints takes off. No way anybody on this staff survives if the powers that be have any sense. We can't score with a $150 million quarterback. Fuck Pete Carmichael. All my homies hate Pete Carmichael. Yes, I think the Saints' problems.
You got your Saints takes off.
I think the Saints' problems are more than just Derek Carr. Like, yes, Carr has been a problem, but I think there's more than that. It's quarterback, it's staff, it's protection. I think some of the trades that they've made in terms of giving up high-value draft assets have really blown up in their face. Like, really, really blown up. Like, the Penning trade has been a disaster so far. Once upon a time, they gave up 2 first-round picks for an edge rusher that was on the team for 4 years. Like, they've had some really, really crucial draft misses that they gave up multiple high-value picks for. And the thing is, if you're already spending a lot every year and you have to keep kicking the can down the road, you do need to have picks and you do need to have cheap young talent to get you through that, like that process. And not only were they giving up high-value picks multiple times over the last 6-7 years, but they were missing on them, or at least not hitting on them like they hoped they would. So they kind of just dug themselves even deeper into that hole. And eventually, like, Bill's going to come due. It hasn't yet, but it kind of feels like it is in its own horrific way. So I don't know. They're in a tough spot right now. If it was me, I'd rip the Band-Aid off, but it's the Saints, so I know they're not going to.
Ooh. Yeah, so the Patriots studied the pitch.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Because they have been hitting that like a 74-mile-an-hour meatball right over the plate. Like, they're just teeing off on that.
Let's see. Did he just backdoor Washington there? I think he might have.
Yeah, he didn't.
Oh, wait. No, Washington Darnell just took a too wide of an initial step. He thought he was going to go with him, and he didn't. He just stood there and penetrated.
He's like, yeah, because, again, you're not going to, at this point, like, the Patriots are not going to respect anything medium to deep from Trubisky.
No.
Like, he's going to have to prove that. So they're going to squat on everything. Short routes and runs, forget it. Like, there's no, like, oh, wait, should I, like, contain? No, it's like, play the run, because that's probably what's coming.
Highsmith in the tent with a neck injury evaluation. Okay.
Don't like it.
Thank
you for that, though,
it's
Gwynplaine.
a stinger and not something even worse. All right.
Oh!
Jesus, Mitch.
I want my over. I want my over. Like, I don't care what the number is, 3.5. Like, give me the over. Like, give me the over. Like,
this is so
all
bad.
the Steelers fans are like, we were so mad at Kenny. Why were we so mad at Kenny?
Like, Kenny has his faults, but at least it's not this.
Yeah, but look at every single Patriots defender on that side of the field. Helmet towards Mitch. Like, face mask looking right at Mitch. Nobody is turn and run. Nobody's worried about anybody getting behind him. Nobody's worried about, they're going to set up the deep play action shot that's going to take, 3.5 seconds. Like, Like, everybody's just like, where's it coming? Where's it coming? I want mine. He's going to throw it to me. And he's not wrong. I mean, they're not wrong. It's, oh boy. It is tough sledding, Steelers fans. I am sorry, because it doesn't get a lot better. Like, Mitch hit his ceiling more than a few years ago, and this is what that ceiling looks like. Like, he's been in multiple spots now, multiple offensive coordinators. He was under Dable in Buffalo, and man, Brandon Beane deserves the Oscar for I'd let him marry my daughter. And getting anything for him after 1 year of a rental. Like, that was the greatest performance in history. So now the Patriots saw how much success the Steelers were having with that pitch, and they're like, we want some of that. Give me some of that.
We're going to set a record for outside zone toss tonight by both teams.
Dude.
Sri for $2. Needs to beat Broncos Colts to be a masterpiece. Oh, okay. Yeah. The Broncos Colts TNF game. Yeah. I don't know if anything is ever going to beat that Broncos Colts TNF game.
Okay. We are 3 minutes into the second quarter, and people are like, Mason Rudolph, please. Oh, boy. So Zeke started off pretty hot. Since then, he's gotten stuffed on a run, just dropped a pass, thinking he was going to keep running with it. Not ideal.
Mitch Trubisky being the Bears' hero is the plot twist we needed tonight. Go Pats, distance yourselves from the top pick for us. That's actually a good point. That's a great point.
There were some memes out today about, never give up Mitch with Bears colors on him.
Oh, man. Just like the Texans and Bears are both building Lovey a statue. Bears are going to build Mitch a statue if he gives them Caleb.
It's just a little bit more pop in Elliott. Little cut to the inside was a little bit farther, a little bit harder than he's given in past years. He looks fresher this year, and good for him. He's a great player.
2 touchdowns. Didn't know this was possible. Bye top 2 pick. Yeah, at this point, I'm not super confident the Steelers can score 15.
I think you could just cut the 15 off that statement.
Can just score, period. Yeah.
I'm not confident that the Steelers can score right now. And it's got to be so frustrating because their offensive line is okay. It's not great. They have weapons all over the place. Like, you got Deontay. You got a couple of running backs that are pretty good. You got Freiermuth. You got Washington if you feel like using him as something besides a blocker because he's getting abused right now. Like, send that guy down the field. He's a mutant. Like, that's such a terrible throw. Like, what are you doing? I know he thought the guy was going to continue the route, but No,
but even if Freiermuth kept going, like, the ball wasn't.
It's still
the ball wasn't going to where he wanted it to go.
Still into 3 guys. So as a Steelers fan, as a member of the Steelers offense, this is terribly frustrating. You're looking around going, we got good guys, but our season is completely shot because our average quarterback went down, and now we're stuck with this. Even on that scramble, look at where his eyes are.
not down
As
the field.
soon as he breaks the pocket, he's running. He's 100% running, and he's probably not going to come back to throwing. Unlike many other quarterbacks in this league who are going to run right up to the line and then toss it over your head because that's their whole point. They're trying to draw you in. Mitch is just looking for a way out.
McPayne train. Mitch had that run of good play. What happened? They got out of the script, apparently.
Well, I think he means maybe earlier in his career, and I would say that answer strangely works.
We're talking about 2018, Mitch, that 1 year. There's a story behind that.
Yeah, there is a story behind that.
I don't know if we're allowed to tell it, but there's a story behind that.
We are. I don't think we are. But there is a very narrow window for guys like Mitch Trubisky. And by narrow window or small envelope, I mean 2 guardrails that they have to play within. And if they do so, if the game plan is like manicured to within an inch of its life to keep them from doing anything outside those guardrails, they can look pretty good, which is how Mitch destroyed Detroit twice a year, every year for basically his entire Bears tenure. He would go play Detroit and look like an absolute superhero, and he would do it maybe once or twice any other time during that year, and then every other win they had was more the he didn't screw it up combined team win. There were very few times he went off against teams that weren't Detroit. But Nagy and Mitch, man, they had Detroit's number by far. And
to be fair, so did everybody.
That's right. And that was always the thing, is like he's putting up 80% or 65% of his stats against Detroit, and Detroit is letting everybody put up 65% of their stats. So like, is this an argument to keep him? Decent ball there, as we're maligning his name.
That actually was a pretty nice throw.
Yeah, decent ball there, as we're
him
throwing under the bus. It was out of bounds though. It was a foul ball, which ain't great. So within that very narrow envelope, if Mitch doesn't have to go outside and he doesn't have to read more than half the field, and he's got a very competent running game, which doesn't really look like he does tonight, he can look like a pro quarterback and like a good one. We just saw the arm. Like he's capable of hitting shots. He hits a couple of those, gets a running game, doesn't have to deviate, doesn't have to make complex decisions or reads. Like he can look really good. But the problem is that's the book on him and everybody knows it. So what's every defensive coordinator, especially a smart defensive staff like the Patriots, going to do? Like pull him off his first read, stuff the run, make him quote unquote play quarterback. And as soon as you do, he looks like this. He throws up how many picks in the first quarter? I would say 4.
In terms of total like turnover worthy plays,
well,
at least
2
3
were picked off. One was called back because of a penalty. And then 2 more could have been picked off, like I would say fairly reasonably or easily. Like it hit the defenders in the hands. So like if you've got a guy pitching up 4 picks a quarter, you're not winning the football game. Like,
Philip Krass for $5. Is there a quarterback in this year's draft that you think would be an awesome / best fit on the Raiders? If the Raiders don't go quarterback, is there a sneaky later QB that you guys like? I mean, they're not going to be in position to get Jaden Daniels, but they might be in position to trade up for Jaden Daniels if they want to sell the farm. In terms of a quarterback that maybe is a trade down candidate, I would look at Bo Nix, especially if they still want to get 5th-year option. You could probably get him the back half of the first round. Penix is going to depend on medical. I got no idea on that one. Rattler is a really exciting / intriguing day 2 guy with a ton of tools. God, who else is even left in this class? Hold on. Let me go to my list here.
Go to the list, which is what I'm doing.
JJ McCarthy, if I could see him throw more than 10 passes in a game, that'd be great. It'd be really helpful to get an evaluation. Pratt, I think, is going back to Tulane last time I checked.
Ooh, I got one for you.
Is Travis coming out, or is he going back?
I don't know the injury. I don't know that he's made his intentions clear because he doesn't have to. I got one for you, though, which actually I think I might like better than any of the others you've named so far.
I swear to God, if you say Tyler Van Dyke, I'm shutting down the stream.
Nope. Not saying Tyler Van Dyke.
Who?
Carson
Beck?
Mm-hmm.
Is he coming out?
I don't know that it's for sure, but again, I think for a guy like him, the situation we were talking about with other quarterbacks where everybody's dodging out, like he could look quite valuable in short order. And the NFL thinks quite highly of him, more highly, I would say, for sure, than the average draft public.
I think he could very easily go day 2 for sure.
Yeah.
I just figured he would go back because a bunch of NIL money and maybe try to be a first rounder next year.
Yeah, but I think, again, there is a limit to where people sort of look at all the people that have done that and go, well, shoot, maybe I should stay in because now I'm QB5 before I was QB9. Like, so, it's the, I'll check. Yep, I'll hang. I'm not going to fold.
Somebody's got to go play in the All-Star games. Because all the other guys went
back. Some point, you go show out, your stock goes up. People go, wait, he played on a really good team against really good defenses. We got plenty of tape on him. He's thrown a lot of passes. Oh, okay. I think just based on that, he is a guy that's going to rise postseason. A lot of people aren't talking about him, haven't heard his name hardly at all. I think, again, if he decides to come out, he's a guy that could rise.
Speaking of Georgia, by the way, Yul Young for $2 says Mims and Van Pran to the Steelers. Mims beating Amarius Mims, the tackle, and Cedric Van Pran. Oh, big one of Juju. Top speed, 18 miles an hour. Probably about as fast as you can go at this point. I was
gonna say, is there anything else there? We get the whole tank. We got the whole tank, I think.
That would be great for the Steelers, though, to get Mims and Van Pran. Mims probably going to be a first-round pick. Van Pran, I have to imagine, is going to go somewhere on day 2. I don't know how high on day 2, but he'll probably go on day 2. And yeah, Steelers could use both of them, so I'm in agreement.
Hey, that last one to Juju, that was Bob going back to the Western Kentucky tape.
Yeah,
that was Western Kentucky Bailey Zappi right there. No, he did it again. Holy shit.
I'll tell you what, man.
What a bullet.
He's letting it go. He's letting it go, and he's letting Jesus take the wheel.
Mike Tomlin looks like he is. Okay, that's a great ball. We're giving Bailey Zappi a hard time, but that is a great ball to Hunter Henry. He sees him and just cuts that thing loose and hits him right in the hands.
Oh, my God, what a throw.
Beats the DB by, what, a half an inch? Inch and a half, tops?
That's one of those where you get back to the sideline, you're like, oh, yeah, I meant to do that. That was planned.
Yeah, no, I had that guy all the way.
I put it exactly where I wanted to. Oh, man.
He did in terms of the receiver. I'm not sure that he gambled on the guy being able to come that far across the middle. But what an absolute dot. Like the first big completion, the first chunk play in this game was not a dot. He threw it into double coverage and his receiver bailed him out. The first touchdown to Hunter Henry, really good throw. The second touchdown to Hunter, I can't believe I'm saying these words again. Midway through the second quarter, and I'm saying the second touchdown to Hunter Henry and meaning it non-ironically.
I will say,
right on the hands, man.
If Justin Herbert made that throw, to be totally fair to Bailey Zappi, if Justin Herbert made that throw, we'd be like, oh my God, let's go. Throw of the year, graze the fingertips. And just because of our preconceived notions of Bailey Zappi, we're like,
no, I'm not shorting him. I'm not shorting him anything on that second throw. He ripped it. He saw it. He ripped it. He hit him in the hands. Yeah, it was close, but how many plays every week in the NFL are really close to defenders' fingers? A lot. Multiple quarterbacks make tosses like that. I think, like you said, we're maybe going to give Zappe a little bit less benefit of the doubt, but I'm not taking anything away from that throw. That was an absolute dime.
Echo Warrior for $10. How many first-round tackles do you guys think there are this year, and do you value a technically sound prospect or a more explosive athlete higher?
Ooh,
so in terms of first-round tackles, it's definitely going to be Olu. It's going to be Alt, Fuaga, Latham probably, Mims probably. You get to Jordan Morgan, which is like the 6th one, and it's a maybe, but I could see it just because of.
I bet he does. I bet he goes in the first.
I mean, that would be 6 tackles in the first round, which is
I think
a lot.
Morgan might go over a couple guys you mentioned, so I think he goes in the first round.
You could sell me on it, and he's a Duke Manyweather guy this year, so that always gets a bump.
Yep. In terms of technically sound or physically dominating, both is the glass is totally full answer. Everybody wants both. I think it depends on if you're talking about a physically dominant player with a lack of technical refinement. Do you think that can be refined quickly or not? Like, is it something you think he can be coached up or can be coached out of him pretty quickly? If so, you're going to go with the traits and say, we'll make it work right because we believe we can fix his footwork, his hands, whatever it is, his strike, his leverage. Like, if it is something that is more difficult to coach out, I think if you need them to be effective, that's the other thing is, do you need them to be effective quickly? Like, do they have to come out and start?
Yeah.
Like, because that's the difference is usually somebody that is, dominant physically, but less technically refined is just going to go in a later round, and you don't put them in position to have to start in their first year. And you hope that you can coach out what you think you can coach out, and then they continue to grow physically as a player. And then in year 2 or year 3, you've got your secret sauce. You've got your 3rd round value that is now playing like would have been a first rounder if they'd come out at that level of polish. So
Teron Armstead, he was a 3rd round pick, but he was a freak. Coming out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, everybody was like, okay, he has the tools to be really, really good, but he needs to be coached up. And then he got coached up, and he was really, really good.
Yeah. So in terms of that question, it's like, what do you need them to do? Where do you think you can take them, like, in your draft strategy? And look, if you need a starting left tackle and they have to start for you next year, you do need both. Like, you need both now, right? You can take a technically refined guy, but if he's not physically dominant, he's going up against werewolves every week. Like, he's going to get beat up.
You know what we call technically refined tackles that don't have elite physical tools? Guards. Like, that's what they are.
Maybe. Sometimes. I think, again, the tools are a little bit different, but it's a fascinating question, and teams value it quite differently. Depends who your offensive line coach is, that's for sure.
Ooh, we going to get a QB sneak? And he gets it.
PK Ron for $2. Would Pats trading for Fields be a good option?
I would not wish that on Justin Fields.
Yeah, I don't think so. Again, not because Justin doesn't have skills that they covet, but I don't. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a really solid fit if Bob's going to be calling the plays.
Well, it also doesn't fix their issue because they still need weapons. Like, it would just be the same thing that Fields just went through in Chicago when they didn't have any weapons.
Yeah.
Before the DJ Moore trade.
I don't disagree. Oh, okay. Now the Steelers' run game getting on track a little bit. Good to see.
I will say, for the Patriots fans that are in, no pun intended, dismay, that they might not get Drake May anymore if they win this game.
Okay, you get on me for dad jokes? Come on.
Just saying. They are still firmly in position to fix what is potentially an even worse issue, which is receiver, and just take Marvin and then, insert day 2 quarterback here. Like, they'll be fine. Like, they don't need to get a top 2 pick. It would be nice to take one of those 2 quarterbacks, but, like, Marvin fixes a lot of issues as well. Oh, my God.
Okay. So, Trubisky got hammered. Duggar smashed Friermuth. Like, we got all kinds of stuff going on here.
I can't tell who are they calling Duggar for PI?
It seemed like the flag was on Duggar because they threw it right at his feet. And they're not going to throw the Trubisky flag at Duggar's feet. Okay, watch Mitch get blasted. Now, that's a fair hit. But, he's got him hooked again. Yep. They're going to call it.
I mean, if they called the first one, they're going to call that one.
They've been calling that all year and on everybody. I'm not talking about one crew or one team, and coaches are pissed, but like DBs got away with that one. And DBs get away with whatever you can because the rules are stacked against you. Take any advantage you can get. And last year you could do that. You could reach with the backhand, grab a guy's hip pointer, and just twist him a little bit. And if you've ever had that happen to you when you're, whatever, playing soccer, playing basketball, somebody grabs your hip and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, it turns your core. It slows you down, and all you need to do to disrupt the timing in the NFL is give you a half step. And defensive backs were regularly doing that to not only give themselves leverage to get back into play, to get that front hand sweep going, but also to pull guys off their routes. And, I think it was a competition committee point of emphasis to go, look, everybody's doing this. We see it every week. We know it affects plays, and we're not calling it. So either we have to not call it or we all have to call it. And they all went, okay, we'll all call it, because it's been called. I don't want to say anything's been called consistently this year. It's been called much more consistently across the league this year than I ever saw it before.
Point of emphasis strikes again. All right, midfield. Ooh, they call fire zone.
Okay.
Just when we were out, he pulls us back in.
Okay, my favorite thing about that was Duggar on Jaylen Warren, because Duggar's a great blitzer, and Jaylen Warren put his hat in there and said, okay, let's go. Duggar, I think, got the better of him a little bit, but that was a war, and it allows Trubisky. Oh, it's not. It's Najee. Watch this. Watch Najee. They're actually drawing this up. Watch him put his face in. Wow. It's enough. Well, that's enough.
The fact that Duggar still got that kind of movement on a 240-pound running back shows you just how freaking strong he is.
Oh, Duggar's a missile. He's a beast. But how about the ball tracking from Deontay Johnson?
Yeah.
Over the head, over the shoulder, going from right shoulder to left shoulder. If you've never played receiver or tight end or even a really vicious game of backyard football, there is not a much tougher adjustment than moving your head over the top.
And you saw he was going inside, and then not only had to switch, but then to also drift back outside after rolling inside. Like, that's tough. That's a hard catch.
It's a great catch. So, again, we knew we were getting a game because we thought it was going to be an absolute dumpster fire. Zappy hits a dot to Hunter Henry. Trubisky's like, oh, yeah? Anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah, we had 31 first-half points so far. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think if people bet the under, they're very sad.
It probably already hit, honestly.
I was going to say, I think they are already very sad.
For $5. Can we ban the Jets from drafting any quarterback in the first 2 rounds and getting aging vet quarterbacks? So you just want to ban the Jets from having a quarterback, is what you're saying?
What he wants to do is ban the Jets.
Yes.
Let's just leave it there.
I'm not saying I'm opposed, but let's be real about it.
Bombat with his first super chat, $4.99. Thank you. Why isn't anyone mentioning Shedeur in the QB draft conversation anymore? It's like he fell off the face of the earth. I think there's a very strong possibility he goes back. I think that's why.
I kind of figured that was a done deal because I thought him and Travis Hunter were like a package, right? And like Travis is like his best friend. And I didn't get and Travis isn't even eligible until next year anyway. So I didn't get the sense that Shedeur was going to leave him. I thought, about halfway through the season, it kind of became clear that he was going to, especially because he knew he wasn't going to be QB1 in this class anyway. He might not even be QB 3 or 4 in this class anyway. So you might as well go back for another year, hope to have a better season at Colorado next year, and try to make a run to be a top 10 pick. Matthew Wright for $5. What's more embarrassing for Panthers fans, drafting Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud, or the pick they traded to do it being used to draft Caleb Williams? There was I can't remember who said it, but somebody laid out that one trade was basically you're trading DJ Moore, you're trading Jalen Carter, because the pick the pick they traded up from was used on Jalen Carter. You're trading DJ Moore, Jalen Carter, and essentially Caleb Williams and another second-round pick for the right to draft Bryce Young over CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
And it's tough. That's tough.
And it was supposed to be a three-way trade, and Tepper got impatient and said, forget it. The Texans waffled.
Got impatient? What?
Yeah, I know, right?
He never gets impatient. He's not impulsive. What?
I think it's fairly well known that the Bears were going to pull off talk about changing their season. The Bears were going to pull off trading the number 1 pick to number 2, and then the number 2 pick to number 3. And it was basically going to be like a three-way trade between the Texans, the Bears, and the Panthers. And that would have been ideal for Chicago. Houston got cold feet. Tepper said, screw it, I'm not waiting for them, and just hopped over and went to 1, which is how we ended up where we ended up. So,
which, by the way,
I do think about that a lot, actually.
On the cold feet thing, by the way.
Yeah.
So what I had heard was that it wasn't that, Houston got cold feet about that particular trade, because Houston did like Bryce a lot. Like,
sure,
they really did. But they really, really, really liked Will Anderson. And they felt like trading up to 1 was going to compromise their ability to then come back and get Will. So they said, screw it, we're good with either one of them. Our main priority is getting one of these quarterbacks plus Will Anderson.
Right, because we love Will, which as a devoted Will Anderson stan.
They had an astronomical grade on him, like massive, like Myles Garrett caliber grade on him. So, like, that wasn't super surprising. And it just happened. And that's the thing, like, the draft is so much about luck that all of us loved Bryce too, Like, it's not like Bryce was considered a bad prospect. He was, wire to wire, looked at as a potential first overall pick candidate.
Teaser, I'm working on something. It'll probably come out in the next couple of weeks, and it'll help answer the question about why Bryce has been, like, as bad as he's been in Carolina, and might actually make that situation look a tiny bit better. It's not going to make you happy as a Panthers fan, but it might shed a little bit of light on that exact situation and show you how little he's had to work with across the board.
Zappy going to work again with a 2-ish minute drill.
Yeah, I was going to say, how 2-minute-y do you really get when you're up 11? Because it's not like he's been overtly safe with the ball either.
I know, but I'm telling you, if he puts up 28 first half points.
Yeah, look out. Look out.
He will at least have secured himself a job in the NFL for another year.
And honestly, if he plays like this, he deserves it. There are a lot of quarterbacks who are established that haven't been able to do this. Oh, his receivers going to town for him too. Is that Taekwon again?
Yep, stretching out.
Nice.
No. I don't mean to come off as like derogatory towards Zappy. Like, he has played genuinely great tonight. It's more so I'm just surprised at how great he's played tonight based on past performance.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like, just where was that? The whole time.
Well, and he did show some of that when he had repeated starts, and I think this shines a light on how important it is to get the work during the week with the starters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people don't understand that when you're a backup, you might not have taken a single snap all week with the starters. And if you haven't been in a game all year, you might not have taken a snap in the last month with the starters. And a lot of the stuff, I think Zappy is even more sensitive to that because so much of his game is based on timing and rhythm. And it's hard to get your timing down when you're never throwing to a guy. Like you don't know. He could be a step quicker, a step slower. And so Zappy gets the work all week. Again, the Patriots said, "Oh, everybody's going to be ready. We don't know some blah, blah, blah." Like he got most of the reps. It's pretty obvious. And he's hitting guys like in stride. He's making tough throws that are timing based. And he, I think, is, like I said, even more sensitive to having those reps than maybe some other quarterbacks who are a little bit more gifted arm wise, but he is making it work. And if he gets the prep, he can do this.
Chase Towler for $5. Who are some of the best wide receiver prospects for the Chiefs in the draft? Any ideal trade-up targets? Oh, there's a lot of ideal trade-up targets. I don't think they're going to want to spend what would be necessary. But Rome Odunze in red would just light the world on fire. It really would.
Well, I really think they need speed and explosion. And Odunze's got some of that for sure. But and again, they're not going to want to go all the way up to get a Neighbors or whatever. But there are a lot of guys in this draft. Again, it's a deep draft. It is not a one-round draft for wide receivers. I believe that they're going to look for some speed and size because they've tried to get that multiple times. Hasn't worked out. They don't have that explosion. And again, without that element, without Pat being able to rip off 25 and 35-yard chunks kind of at will, really take the top off of defense, they looked okay last year. They won the Super Bowl. Again, everybody said, "Oh, Tyreek's leaving. They're not going to be able." And they modified their offense, but they really ran it all through Travis. They haven't been able to run it through Travis this year, and now they don't have that either. And their offense has looked pretty marginal.
I would say in terms of receivers that might be there at their native pick that they wouldn't have to, well, not definitively wouldn't have to trade up for, but are less likely to need to trade up for them. Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU, 6'4", high 4.3, low 4.4 speed, kind of fits what they need right now in terms of vertical juice. Xavier Legette from South Carolina, who's basically just DK Metcalf in a slightly different font.
He would be fun.
He'd be awesome there. Again, I'm not sure he would be there at their pick, but it's possible.
Well, it depends on where their pick ends up, because say they get bounced out of the playoffs. I don't think that's probably going to happen, but say they get bounced out of the playoffs.
At 22.
They're going to have a much higher pick than they have had for the last several years.
Yeah, if they're in the low 20s, I could see. Ooh, nice ball to Henry. I could see Legette. I could see that's probably the top end of the range for Ibuka from Ohio State.
Yeah, Mecca, Ibuka, Xavier Worthy's going to be in there somewhere. Because again, you can't pack them all in there. They all have really cool qualities, but again, it's like the quarterback stack that we did earlier. Who would you take first? You can't have them all, and not everybody's picking receivers, so you might be 6 receivers deep. And most of the guys we're talking about are after 6. So
Zappy just got crushed.
He gets smacked.
Massively smacked. Let's see if they show a replay of it.
He got run over. Oof. He got down. I like that. The ones that I really think
he turned into it quicker than I thought he did in the live speed, but that still probably doesn't feel good.
The ones that I think are really bad are either obviously blindside hits. Looks like his right arm's bugging him a little bit, which is not great. So blindsides from the backside, obviously terrible. And then ones where you take it right in the chest plate and it bends you over backwards. Those are the ones where guys get planted like that. And again, that's one of the reasons that they instituted the no body weight rule. Because you want to talk about defenseless, a quarterback going over onto his shoulder blades is about as defenseless as it gets.
All right, so
Dean Hunter for $5. How did Frank Reich go from consensus top half coach who took a backup QB to the playoffs, turn into a guy being fired midseason 2 years in a row? Well, Indianapolis, bit of a different situation. Panthers, he got encouraged to go outside his circle to hire the staff, and it sounds like the staff fractured pretty significantly pretty early on, and there was some real serious bad news. Oh, Zappy got a bloody elbow.
Yeah, it never felt like the building was together,
unified.
You know, and Reich, it wasn't Reich that got, or it wasn't just Reich that got fired. It was also some of Reich's guys that he brought in that were backing him up, right? McCown being one of them. Whereas staff members that were, I would say, more loyal to ownership than loyal to Reich are still in the building, right? So it just wasn't a good situation there. I would say interpersonally. I'd say the work environment probably wasn't as team-oriented as maybe Reich had hoped for when he took that job. And I guarantee you, if, money aside, I guarantee you if Reich could go back, he probably wouldn't have taken that job knowing the environment that he was going to go into. Or rather, the environment that Tepper was creating.
Yeah, the extent of the environment, I think, is what he underestimated. And Reich is not a fire and brimstone guy. He's not a conflict guy. He's not the. It's not that he can't coach hard. It's that he doesn't coach loud, and he's not going to get in your face. And that chafed half of the staff. They believe that he should be like calling Bryce on the carpet and just burning him down. Like, he would call him out for mistakes, but they wanted that to be done more harshly. And
that's just not his style.
He's not going to do that. And so they felt like he was going easy on him, whether or not he was correcting him. It sounds like a really rough, no-win environment.
Gabriel Soares for 5. Thank you. Do you think the Purdy success may change how QBs are evaluated during the pre-draft process? I wouldn't say so, because we saw Purdy in the pre-draft process at the Shrine Bowl, and we thought absolutely not. Oh God, he muffed it. Purdy had a terrible Shrine Bowl week. He wasn't particularly great at the combine. He interviewed well, but in terms
a lot of his tape was not, in terms of NFL translation, was not great either. It was good, very good college tape, but that is not necessarily the same thing.
Even if the 49ers thought this was what he was going to be, they wouldn't have taken him with the last pick. They liked him more than anybody, and they still took him in the late 7th round. He was not what is generally considered to be a high-value prospect, but he developed really well. And credit to Brock for doing that, and also credit to the Niners staff. But, 7 months after I saw him at Shrine Bowl, I saw him at Niners training camp up close and personal. He did not look the same. He just completely transformed himself in one summer. So I don't necessarily think there's a whole lot we can learn from it, other than just sometimes dudes get better, and that's kind of it. And you hope you draft
a
the ones
lot
that
better. It's not. That's the thing. It's did you miss on Purdy? It's no. My analysis for what Purdy was, where he was at the snapshot of the time when he was going into the draft, was accurate. Did I predict, something that, like you said, no other team, including the 49ers, predicted? No, I didn't. Neither did anybody else. I didn't miss. Right? It's really cool to see him develop, because he is playing at an extremely high level now, and that just makes for better football. But in terms of the draft, I'm with you. It's not a oh man, what did we miss? It's not in that particular case.
PK Ron for 2, talking about how Marvin Harrison Jr. plus Fields plus veteran free agent. As in taking Marvin. Well, you have 2 top 5 picks, so you can do something else with that top 5 pick too. If you want to trade down from 1, get even more picks, take Marvin at 3 or whatever, and then take either Olu or Alt at, 5 or 6, whatever the Bears finish at, and roll with Fields. That's a viable strategy. I don't think they're going to do it, but it's viable.
It would be cool. And again, if you had a better mesh between the powers that be, coaching staff, and Justin, and you were starting to see that kind of more Jordan Love-like trajectory, and man, does it pain me to say that, but if you're starting to see that light coming on and getting it, the comfort, really taking over the offense and, making not only the explosive plays, which Justin makes, and Justin has improved every year, which is staggering given his surroundings in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's unfathomable, but he absolutely has improved in pretty much every category every year in the NFL. But it still doesn't feel like that mesh is there, that sort of mind meld, the understanding about how best to use him, his comfort level. You can argue about where that blame lies, but it does not feel like, therefore, that makes that a viable strategy of, oh yeah, we got a good thing here, we're rolling with it, we're gonna grab picks around him and make the roster better that way. It's super tempting because, look, quarterback picks, I don't care how high you're picking, it's fraught, right? Just as many high first round picks have bombed out as mid first round picks. Like, about 50% of the quarterbacks picked in the first round work out, of all of them, like, over time. So it is not a sure thing. And just because you have a high pick does not guarantee your way out. So it would be a lot better to say, we know what Justin is. We are comfortable. We're moving in the right direction. All he needs is some pieces. If they could say that confidently, it'd be really cool, but I don't feel like they can.
I'm filling out a halftime entry on Underdog. And
the question. Oh, you should show our first half one to see how we're doing there, because it feels like we got some of those checked off.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pull it up on the desktop. I can only pull it up on a laptop.
Oh, either way. Yeah. All right. Well, you can just update the folks at home.
Let me throw this one in real quick.
Michael S. says, y'all Braxton Jones truthers. I think Braxton Jones can absolutely play left tackle at an NFL level with some freaking help around him, because, man, he was hurt some of this year, but when he came back, he did not have a lot of help at left guard or center, and that's going to make just about any tackle look gross. I think he can play a solid NFL tackle, and if you have Wright and Braxton Jones, and you've got Tevin and Nate as the guards, and then you go get a center, I'm going to keep banging that dead horse. Go get a real center. I don't care if you do it in free agency or the draft. Like, I'm fine with that line for Chicago.
So I'm going to throw the halftime entry in. You guys can tail that if you so desire. And in that entry, what we got is Zappy at higher than 271.5 passing. Right now he's at like 180 something, I think it was. Zeke higher than 47.5 receiving. Right now he's at 38, so we need like 9 more receiving yards.
Oh, okay. I was like,
yeah. Juju at higher than 95.5 receiving. He's at 80 something. So again, we need like 9 more yards in the second half. Mitch Trubisky at higher than 30.5 rushing. He's at 20, so we need 11. And then Warren at higher than 32.5 receiving. He's at 20, so we need like 13 yards. So dropped that in the chat if you guys want to tail that. And again, if you're new to Underdog, you could do this on any game. You can also do it on the Sunday games. You could do it in the middle of games. You could do it on Sunday night games. Obviously, this game's already started, so the Warren special doesn't apply. But there is a Dak special on Sunday night for half a yard passing. So you basically get a free space for that one. And you also get a deposit match up to $100 too.
And Tua on Monday too, right?
And Tua's on Monday at half a passing yard for new signups. So a lot going on.
Yeah. So Ben for $9.99 says, last year when the Niners traded for McCaffrey, you found out on a live stream, and I remember you guys saying it was too big of a price for a running back. Do you guys, I think that still feel the same? In general, yeah. I think that price paid for just about anybody because, again, you have to think about where McCaffrey was at the time, which was, we can all look in hindsight and say, well, since he's been traded, he's been amazing. Well, he has.
Started
he's been
staying healthy for once.
And that was really the thing is paying that price for a guy that had a very checkered medical past before that in Carolina. Again, one of those guys when he was on the field, hyper productive, great talent, super versatile, but you were selling the farm for a guy that plays a high wear position, who has a checkered medical history, and you are just lobbing picks at that team to get him. And, again, I'm glad for the Niners, and I'm super glad for Christian because, he looked very different as soon as he got back to San Francisco. I remarked in game 1 or 2 of him in a Niners uniform, man, it looks just like he's back in college. High knees, energy, blowing through tackles. He did not look like that at the end of his Panthers tenure. And it's kind of like Purdy. There's no accounting for guys hitting the juvenation machine, right? And CMC found it. They leaned on him, and he stayed healthy. Honestly, if he'd turned his ankle 3 games into that tenure, what we said at that time would be the loudest message you're hearing. They gave up too much. The Niners front office sucks. They got fleeced again. Look at Trey Lance. And then the CMC, debacle is what they'd be calling it if he'd been hurt. But he hasn't. He stayed healthy. He's been the engine of that offense. He's been extremely happy to be there. They are been extremely happy to have him in that role. And he provides so much to them. So in general, I would say that price is still too high for running back. In this case, all the lights lined up. They got all greens, and good for them. It's worked out. That's great. There are so many ways, I would say most ways, that could have turned where it would have looked like a terrible choice.
Sean Tron for $10. Has the NFL Players Union ruined O-line development with practice limitations? Seems harder and harder to field 5 good pocket protectors who can also run block as well as they used to 10 years ago. My short version of the answer is yes. But I understand why they have the practice limitations, right? It's about health and safety. It's about trying to preserve these guys' bodies, making sure they don't wear down, making sure that they can live happy, healthy lives after they're done with the game. Fully get that, fully understand it, fully support it. But at the same time, offensive linemen are at a huge disadvantage compared to a lot of other positions that don't necessarily require contact to get better. You look at receivers getting developed through 7-on-7 that they can do all year round. I'm talking at the high school and college level. Quarterbacks, you just throw and do 7-on-7, like just getting reps making throws, right? DBs also getting reps just covering dudes. Like defensive linemen but more so offensive linemen have such a huge disadvantage because they kind of need contact to get better and to develop, because it's like the entire nature of their position is contact and physicality. If you don't get to rep contact and physicality over and over and over again, it's going to take you a long time, or at least a longer time, to get good at it. So yes, I would say that the practice limitations from the NFL Players Union have severely hurt offensive line development, especially for young offensive linemen that are inexperienced and that didn't get a ton of reps in college. Maybe they weren't a 4 or 5 year starter. Maybe they're only a 1 or 2 year guy. So, especially guys that converted, like if they're a converted tight end or anything like that, or a converted defensive lineman that converted offensive lineman, and they're new to the position, like those limitations, it might take years for them to really develop. But that is the price that, unfortunately, the game has to pay in order to preserve these guys' bodies. And it leads to a lot of sloppy offensive line play, especially in the first half of a season. But I get it. I get why they did it. But to answer your question, yes, that is the reason. Round circles for $5. Between T'Vondre Sweat and A.D. Mitchell, who would you like the Texans to draft? Or are you totally in on Brian Thomas Jr. like you talked about in the last pod? I love A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell is awesome. He would be tremendous with C.J. Stroud, especially, over the middle of the field. He has a lot of the similarities to Nico Collins, I would say. So it would just be like having another Nico Collins, which I will not say no to. I think he'd be a great complementary piece to Tank Dell as well. I hope they keep Nico around. I hope they keep Noah Brown around. And Mechie as well. Bobby Trees, Bobby Trees is a great veteran presence. I would say you value him more for what he can do for the room than for what he can do for you on the field at this point in his career. But A.D. Mitchell would be a great piece for them. In terms of need, I don't necessarily think that the Texans' defensive line is like a massive need because they played so well this year, but just based on their current contract situations, like they are probably going to have to need an infusion of young guys to provide depth and future options. So T'Vondre Sweat to me makes a lot of sense as well. Right now, let's see, what's their pick sitting at right now? I think it's like 19, something like that. Or it might be in the low 20s. I can't remember where Cleveland's at right now. As of last week, it was 24. I think it might have dropped a little bit. But that's kind of the top of the range for T'Vondre Sweat. And if they took him there, I would not be mad at all. He's fantastic. Same thing if they get lucky and Johnny Newton falls that long. I would take Johnny Newton in a heartbeat. Pair him up with Grenard. If they pay him and bring him back, pair him up with Will Anderson. And just keep building that pass rush because it's already a good pass rush, very good pass rush. You can make it a great pass rush. Either way, wouldn't hate either one of those guys for Houston. Or Xavier Worthy, the other Texas kid. Joshua Hall for $5. What do you think about the Dolphins extending Austin Jackson? I think it's a pretty good move based on his performance this year. I think it's an excellent move. I haven't looked at the money yet. I just found out on this stream earlier that Austin got extended. But he has played way, way better this year than in past years, and I think he's earned that extension. I'm happy that he's kind of turned his career around because it started out super rough for him, but he's a much, much, much better player now, and I'm happy for him. Lewis Greenstein for $5. I'm worried that if the Pats are at 3, they'll pass on Marv for a tackle because Pats. Marv seems very, very bust-proof compared to a tackle. I agree, and I don't think that they would pass on Marv, especially because their offensive line, now that they have their ideal starting 5, and again, from left to right, it's Brown, it's Strange. They really like C.D. So at right guard, and then at right tackle they got Onwenu. They seem to really like that starting 5, and they played a lot better up front since they got that starting 5 in there. So tackle, while yes, they will need to take one, particularly like a developmental left tackle, depending on what's going to happen with Trent Brown, I don't necessarily think they have to do it at 3, and Marv is just so good that I can't imagine they pass on him. Welcome back, EJ.
Thank you. Timing is impeccable. $21-10. Seen a bunch of fun football. Again, everybody, you just knew it. The weight of everybody saying, oh, it's going to be such a dog of a game. And look, it could still morph into that, but it has not been a 6-3 struggle that's been super difficult to watch.
Yeah, at least it's been entertaining. I'll take that.
Again, maybe not technically sound, but that's all right.
Oh, Allen Robinson sighting in the year of our Lord 2023. How about that?
Yeah, there were going to be at least 3, so 2 are now done.
Another 2nd and 10 run because Steelers. But hey, it keeps working for them. I'll give them that. At least it's a draw this time instead of another outside zone call.
Oh, did you switch to the non-prime version?
No, I'm on Prime Vision.
Weird, because now you're ahead of me, and I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything either.
I know. I love it. Streaming is so fun.
How very reliable. All right, empty on 3rd and 4.
Mason Rudolph looking like he's getting warmed up.
I don't blame him. I think there's a short leash here where if this drive didn't work, they were gonna.
I was gonna say, get conspicuous in front of the coach.
Yeah.
Like, look, my arm's real limber, coach.
All right, first down here.
Yep. Steelers offense does look very different, with Freiermuth and without.
I mean, he's the chain mover. He's the guy who works in the middle. Oh, get out of that, Warren. Oh, God, this is going to be a loss of like 10.
I can't wait to see it.
You can only call so many reverses in one game, guys. Come on now. That's like the 3rd one so far.
Oh, boy. Yeah, no, they're not getting out of that. That's gross.
And, God, they constantly do that. They'll show jet sweep, jet sweep, jet sweep. But their reverses are always super obvious just based on, like, if Jalen Warren's in the slot in a cut split and then Austin goes in motion, like in jet motion, like, no shit it's going to be reverse. Like, yeah, they're going to read that all day just based on where everybody's lined up. Like, you don't think they're going to see Jalen Warren in the slot and just be like, oh, that's normal. Let's just totally ignore that. All right, 3rd down here. 3rd and 10. Typically for the Patriots, they're going to call cover 2 into this. But it is empty, so we'll see what they got. They might just play like kind of a loose quarters. Yeah, it's a loose quarters. Oh! He might have got that.
Pretty close.
Yeah, he got it. Wow. The hurdle and the extension. What a play by Hayward. They had him dead to rights until they didn't.
Until he tiptoed to the sideline.
That's a hell of a play. Yeah, he got that. Oh, God. That one was all Najee.
I was going to say, didn't look very good at the start, but, ended up with a better product than you might have had.
And that's the thing with Najee is you kind of know the only 3 runs they're going to call with him, right? And so you could see when they motioned Darnell, because they're always going to call either outside zone strong with him, or they're going to call a draw, or they're going to call occasionally a counter depending on the front they're going to get. But you're going to get outside zone strong, and just based on that, what direction it's going to go. So you just follow Darnell Washington and see where he's motioning to, and then you know exactly what gap to shoot, and it just puts Najee in this impossible situation where it's like, all right, go break the tackle 5 yards in the backfield because they're going to be flying in at you.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a little bit, strangely, of their cross-state team of the Eagles in terms of, hey, you got to, as a receiver, you're just going to have to go win one-on-one. Like, that's what the play is. And if you win, if you play superhero ball, awesome. If not, like, it's not setting your guys up for the best chance of success. They have a chance of success, but it's limited based on the fact that you're starting them off behind the 8 ball. Like, again, you're giving that many cues to the defense to say, all right, this is most likely, with a very high likelihood, what's happening. And it hasn't looked like anything that the Steelers have put out in the run game, with the exception of that one run blast up the middle, that might have just been more of a physical win with Warren, has really caught New England at all cross-footed. They've been stuffing most everything.
I just wish they'd be a little bit less predictable, because when Freiermuth is on the field in 11 personnel, like, obviously it's going to be a pass. When Darnell is on the field in 11 personnel, it's going to be a run. But in particular, they're going to run it to Darnell's side. Like, they never run it weak side when he's on the field in 11 personnel. So, like, it's so easy. It's so easy to know what they're going to do.
Man, Miles Bryant, that's a guy that I claim a pretty substantial win on.
He's been a little up and down for me. Oh, man.
Yeah, but you think about where he was in terms of conversation coming out of Washington, and was just a guy I spotted at the combine in terms of, man, he moves better than I thought he did. And then I dug back in, and again, I wasn't predicting, hey, he's going to be a high-level starter or even a starter, but I was like, this is a guy that's worthwhile to have on your team, and he's proved to be more than that for New England.
All right, another punt here for the Steelers. Not sure if they're going to yank Trubisky for Mason Rudolph yet, but I have to imagine they're getting close to it.
Yeah, I would say if you go more than one more drive, one more unsuccessful drive, or really one more drive, like if he's successful, fine, leave him in there, give him a chance. If you go one more drive and it's, 3 and out, 7 and out, like, you can't be serious and say, like, we're doing our best to compete, when he showed real inability to move the team for most of the night and create points. Yes, he did have a really nice throw, and Johnson a really nice catch on the other end to pay it off, but it seems like a one-time thing. And if you balance that against his turnover-worthy play throws, he's in the negative pretty deeply.
August Pappas for $5. Should the Lions use their first rounder for secondary or DL to shore up the defense? BPA out of those two. Like, I don't think you should force it either way.
Yeah, I would agree.
Honestly, we won't really know the answer to that until we see what they do in free agency, because it's very possible that they just attack one of those position groups in free agency and then leave the other one for the draft. That tends to be how they operate anyway. So we'll see what they do in March, but it's really just BPA whoever they have higher on the board, whether it's Wiggins or either of the Bama corners. Insert edge rusher here. There's a million of them in this class. Like, I don't think you have to force it. Just whichever one's higher on your board.
And you probably shouldn't. And it's good strategy to do the other, right? It's very good strategy to say, hey, based on what's available in free agency that we can get, because that's the other thing. Free agency is not a sure thing. Neither is the draft. But, like, we are going to put assets from one side, free agency, over here, and we are going to put draft assets towards whatever we didn't cover in free agency, so that we can, again, hopefully align with the strengths of both, like the strengths of whatever free agency is that year and the strengths of the draft, because they are both up and down. Like, they are not all things to all teams every year.
Connor Broderick for $5. If the Patriots fall to 3, who do you think targets the second pick to jump them for a quarterback? Also, is Jaden Daniels a potential target at 3? I'm not going to say that Daniels isn't a target at 3. Like, you could sell me on it. He's awesome. As for who would jump the Pats to get up to 2? Oh, there goes Zeke. All right, well, he hit on the receiving yards for us, so that's good.
Yes, he did. Top speed of 15.8. Woohoo.
I think it doesn't necessarily matter who's going to be jumping the Patriots at 3. I think it matters who's at 2, because if it's another quarterback needy team, like, they're not going to take calls anyway, Like, if it's the Bears at 1, and then if it's, God, who else? Who's at 4? Hold on, let me check. Let me check the draft order right now.
You got a Steeler down on the field.
So right now it's Bears at 1, New England 2, Arizona 3, Washington 4. So theoretically, if the Patriots go to 3-10 tonight, they would still be in front of Arizona. They would still be at 2 because oh no, I'm sorry, I looked at the wrong number. Not strength of schedule. They might still be in front of Arizona. Actually, the strength of schedule is pretty close. So they still might be at 2 even if they lose tonight. But let's just say they end up at 3. It's still very possible that that Arizona. Actually,
You're going to talk yourself into an absolute spiral. I can feel it coming.
So Washington's at 4-9. See, for me, it's not about can the Patriots get 3 wins. It's about can the Patriots get 4. Like, will the Patriots win another game after this one? If they win this one, like the lowest they might go is 3.
He
and
says.
Then if Arizona's at 2, that would mean, assuming Arizona stays with Kyler. How about the Bears just take Caleb and May, and then we do a good old-fashioned battle royale in the parking lot? Survivor gets to start.
You know, based on their history with quarterbacks, it makes more sense than it sounds like it does.
Justin Fields gets to be the referee.
Yeah, like keep Justin as QB3 and like go for it.
Yeah.
Like I know it would never happen, but like they'll get one out of that group.
Oh, it's the Bears. I'm still not entirely confident.
I was going to say that too. But August Pappas for $5 after drafting Gibbs, Laporta, Campbell, and Branch. Are you guys ready to recognize Brad Holmes' draft guru? I think we already did. Like we've said that the Lions class was one of the best classes going for the last 2 years.
I just would have rearranged the order. That's all.
Yeah, that was your only thing with Gibbs that really threw you off. But we acknowledged even at the time that the haul overall in terms of talent was very, very good. And it was good last year too. So no, Brad Holmes has had a tremendous start to his tenure in Detroit with Dan Campbell. They seem to be in lockstep in terms of what they like and what they want from players, which is super important because if Brad Holmes is out there drafting guys he thinks are talented and Dan Campbell doesn't agree and doesn't play them, we see that play out all over the NFL every single year, right? And it is not that way in Detroit. Like Holmes drafts guys Campbell wants and Campbell plays them to great effect very early in their career, typically. And that just makes the entire organization stronger. So, no, Holmes is doing a bang-up job. And the reason that the Lions, one of the reasons that the Lions are as good as they are right now is because he has restocked the cupboard. I don't want to say completely, but rebuilt the offensive line, decided that they were going to go with Goff and stick with Goff, that he was not a bridge. And they said that over and over again when they traded for him. And we all went, yeah, whatever. But Goff's playing some of the best football of his career, maybe the best football of his career under Ben Johnson. So again, it's complementary football within an organization. The GM stocking the cupboard with players that the coach wants, the coordinators using those players and putting them in the best position to succeed. Detroit's got it all working right now, which is why they have the record they have.
PK Ron for 5. Is there a clear wide receiver 2 in this class, and how many quarterbacks are gone in the first? I'd say 4 quarterbacks I feel comfortable with saying gone in the first right now. In terms of clear wide receiver 2, it depends on how you define clear.
I think it's eye of the beholder.
I would really say for me, it's probably Neighbors, but like there's a lot of people that would say Odunze. There's a lot of people that would say Coleman. It's just different flavors. So there's three different guys that you could argue for wide receiver 2. I don't necessarily think it's clear, but everybody's going to have an opinion on it.
Yeah. A lot of it, I believe, is eye of the beholder in terms of what they want. I think Neighbors is going to be a very common name. I think Odunze is going to be also right there with him. After that, it might drop off in terms of like if we were doing percentages for, who's wide receiver 2. But the answer is there are a lot of receivers that are going to be vying for that top 5 spots, and there are a lot of receivers after that.
Yeah.
Like there are guys that we haven't even mentioned yet who can frickin' play the lights out. Uh-oh. Doink.
Little TT stunt up front between Ogunjobi and Hayward. Just kind of working those A-gaps. One thing Steelers can still do is rush the passer. That's for damn sure. Storm for $5. Do the Vikings trade up for Daniels or just take JJ or Nix if they take a quarterback? I think they want to trade up for Daniels. I think they would love to trade up for Daniels. It's a question of if they can get somebody to agree to let them trade up for Daniels. Because right now, if Jaden got to 6 at the Jets, I could see them taking him. The Giants would definitely take him at 7. New Orleans would take him at 9. Tampa probably take him at 10. Like they have to go to 5, which means they have to trade up with Chicago. And you're out of your mind if you don't think Chicago is going to make Minnesota pay an ungodly, irresponsible price to go all the way from, as of right now, pick 21 to pick 5. We're talking 3 1s, 3 2s, and your firstborn child. Like, that's what the price would be. And even then, Chicago still might say no. Because you think they want to face Jaden Daniels twice a year? Probably not.
Which, since we're on the topic, is another reason I'd like to see Hall get run from now till the end of the year for the Vikings. I realize it won't happen because they believe, and not wrongly, that Dobbs gives them a better chance to win out this year. But Hall's what you got to see if you got anything in. Now, do I think he's better than Jaden Daniels? No, I don't. But is like, how much is the difference, right? If he develops, if he pulls 1/2 of a Brock Purdy and starts looking like, let's just say Sam Howell did at the end of his little run in Washington last year, is that enough? Like, do you then do something else and stay out of the quarterback sweepstakes and not mortgage your future to go up and get one of the very top passers? Do you say, hey, do we have enough, or we feel like we have enough in Hall? They're not going to know that if he sits behind Dobbs. And it's the, do I want the apple now or do I want 2 apples later? Like,
Bearden for $5 with the position/scheme fit. Am I crazy thinking that Bowers would be the best/most impactful offensive player for the Texans, not named Marvin Harrison Jr.? In terms of giving them an elite yak option, another option to work the middle of the field, which we know they love to do. Like, I don't necessarily think they need a tight end, because Schultz has played super well for them, and Brevin Jordan's made a lot of plays too. But they also don't necessarily need receiver either, because Collins and Tank have played so well. So really, it just depends on who has the higher grade for you, Bowers or Neighbors/Odunze. And that's a fascinating conversation because I don't even know for me.
Yeah, and I think, isn't Schultz on a 1-year deal?
He is, but they have enough money they could bring him back if they want to.
Got it.
They have like unlimited resources right now. They have so much cap space. Like, to the point where they need to spend it, so they might as well spend it.
Storm D&D for $5. Then the Vikings activate Operation Save Zach Wilson. Oh, okay.
That's good.
I don't know.
I mean, if anybody could do
it. In terms of quarterback coaches that are, quarterback-friendly coaches that I would want to work with him if he had a chance, like, Kevin O'Connell's not a bad pull.
No. Wouldn't hurt throwing to Justin Jefferson and Addison and Osborne. Like,
yeah, you got a few more targets than you had in New York.
You have 2 great tackles there. Like, if you suck in Minnesota, you just suck. Like, it's hard to be bad there with the structure they have.
Now, I don't know that I would roll my whole ass fortune on Zach Wilson as my number one.
No. It's a lottery ticket. It's not a bank account.
You know, it would be interesting.
Speaking of Vikings, any speculation on where Kirk ends up next season?
Whew.
I mean, it depends on what's the Achilles looking like, right?
Did you see that catch by Pickens?
I did. One-handed. If Kirk's healthy, like if he will be back in time, Kirk to the Raiders, I think could make sense. So that way, like Kirk 1.0 and Kirk 2.0 could be on the same team together. That'd be great. Jefferson would immediately request a trade.
You know, he might. But again, I think if Kevin O'Connell believed in that move, I would believe in that move. As weird as that sounds. Like if he was like, no, absolutely, give me that guy. I can fix him, because all coaches think they can fix a lot of players. But if he was willing to bet his future and that his team's future on that, I would feel like strangely okay with that, because right now I am in no way okay with Zach Wilson playing quarterback for any franchise that I care deeply about. But in a non-ironic way, if O'Connell was like, hell yeah, let's do it, I think there's something there, and I think our structure would support him, I would be tacitly like optimistic about that move.
2nd and 3 here after a strong Zeke run. He's looked good tonight. 12 personnel again. Are we going to get inside zone here? Oh, nope. We got a completely screwed up dart play. Somebody got penetration and threw off on Wenu's pole there. So that one's kind of dead from the start.
Yeah. Muddy. It's interesting. 2 very veteran coaching staffs here, like 2 of the most veteran coaching staffs in the entire league between Belichick's and Tomlin's staff, go in to halftime, come out with halftime adjustments, and pretty much stalemate each other for the first half of the third quarter. Like, not a lot of stuff going on. The first half felt, wide open, a little bit loose, fast and loose. This, not so much. It definitely they just put up that. They just flashed back to the Dominique Easley pick. I'm feeling things. I'm having feelings.
It can still work, EJ.
I know. It's so bad. 2014 at this point, like 9 years ago. Ah!
It does feel like the Patriots are trying to suck the air out of the ball a little bit, because they're thinking, holy shit, we scored 21 points.
We're up 11. We didn't even think we were going to score 11.
Oh, God, no. Oh, I had to say it.
Did you?
Oh, no.
Oh, yep.
Tip, drill, pick. Brutal.
Again.
Steelers are back in the game.
Interestingly enough, I don't.
That Mike Tomlin blood magic paid off again.
He does have a stock of that, doesn't he? Oh, man. In terms of turnover-worthy plays, that's barely. I don't know that I would count that one as one.
I mean, I'd say it's more of just a great defensive play than a...
Yeah, you threw it into tight coverage. It's not what I would call it, and obviously or overtly turnover-worthy play.
Like, could have let it a little bit more, but it wasn't like
but it was not like, it wasn't like Trubisky throwing it into triple coverage in the first half.
No. Nothing is as bad as Trubisky. But either way, Steelers have life.
Yeah, good field position. Only, man, fast third quarter, right?
I thought the Patriots were told they weren't allowed to suck the air of the ball anymore.
Yes, there was an NFL ruling about that.
That's good.
Well played, chat. Well played. Time for big money, Mitch. I got news for you. Oh.
Inside zone. Oh, no, he's in pass protection. Just based on where Najee was lined up, I was like, ooh, that looks like an inside zone track. All right, so that sets up 3rd and 9.
Shots of grumpy Bailey Zappi on the bench.
At what point is enough for Trubisky?
Yesterday?
Yeah. If they screw this up and don't score here, they probably go to Mason Rudolph.
And again, not like that's a screaming upgrade.
I know.
It's just different bad at this point. Like, Mason has had pretty extended runs in Pittsburgh. Again, started off with a little flare and flash, got people excited, and then DC's caught up, which always happens with every quarterback. It's not a shot at Mason Rudolph. And he wasn't able to play through that. And that's the wall. That's the difference between guys that look okay in 3 or 4 starts or guys that can consistently be a starter in this league, is that they adapt and overcome those shortcomings that DCs are trying to exploit.
So Trubisky took off, got a little bit of a run that's going to set up a 4th and 3-ish.
Yeah, it feels like 2 to start off.
If I'm them, I go for it. Because, I mean, so it's 21-10. If you make it 21-13, you do theoretically make it a 1-possession game. But
theoretically, I love that.
Theoretically. But if you score here and make it 21, like you can either go for the 2 now to make it a field goal game, which is probably what I would do, so that you have an entire quarter to hopefully get within field goal range one time. But if you take the field goal now, then
the sum total of your offensive optimism is we might get in field goal range one time in the next quarter. That's how you know you need to like scrap what you're doing on offense and go get yourself a quarterback.
Well, that's why I'm thinking like this might be their best. This might be their only remaining shot of getting into the red zone, just based on how it's played out tonight, right? So you might as well put your foot on the gas while you can.
And to me, that feels like the thing is you've taken all night to get to this point.
Yeah. And
you think you're going to get there again? Like easily? Like the last time you kind of, I don't want to say lucked into it, but you know, it hasn't, let's be honest, it hasn't been a recurring theme that you put yourself in good position to score for the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. So if you're this close and you're 2 yards away, you think that's a bridge too far, or, you know, having to go 85 yards against the Patriots defense again, like that hasn't worked out for you. So yeah, 4th and 2 looks like the better option, even if it's not a very good option, if that makes sense.
If it's 4th and 3, 4th and 4, do they dare play 0? I could see the Patriots playing 0 against that.
Against Trubisky?
Yeah.
Like, sure.
And basically make it so that, hey, we know a screen is coming. You know a screen is coming. Let's see if we can just tackle it short. Because if you're calling 0 in that area of the field, there's not really a whole lot of other answers you have again, which is why 0 is such a common low red zone call. There's not really a whole bunch of other answers you have other than a screen. So the Patriots can kind of dictate the play call here if they have called 0 quite a bit in this area of the field. So they got a single high safety there now. It does look like man coverage on 4th and 2. Is it going to be 1 double 18 on Deontay Johnson? Nope. It is 1 double. And they did not get it. Oof.
It is a long fourth. I'll say that, or was a long fourth. Like, that is not 4th and 2. That is a full 4th and 3.
All right, let's see the replay on this.
And you're in the red zone, so everything's compressed. I mean, the Patriots have less field to defend because you're on the, 11, 13. That being said, not a very inspiring play from the Steelers here.
No. Is Pickens okay? Or no, he's just exasperated.
He's been that most
He's
of the
just
night.
over this shit.
And I cannot argue with him one bit. I am usually not one for wide receiver diva behavior, but like, he is just like, what are we doing here? Much like we are. Okay, I have to say, despite the first half being not to form in terms of what we thought it would be, the third quarter played very much to form, as does the early fourth quarter. So let's see if we can break back into having an interesting game where people don't get tackled within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage for the rest of the night, because that would be boring.
Brett, is there any reason or situation to run country cover 3? I mean, you can run it.
To confuse people?
You can run it, but it has to be a side dish, right? It has to be a side dish. It can't be the main thing you run, or you're just going to get RPO'd to death. If they line up in condensed splits, in a look where you might get, inside zone / glance RPO, you get out of it immediately, right? But if they're a little bit more wide open, but also under center, like, you can call country cover 3 in that scenario, I would say, and be totally fine. It just depends on the formation. It depends on what they typically like to run out of said formations. Like, anything that you see, especially shotgun stuff, anything that you see RPOs run out of a lot, I would not run country cover 3 against, because you're going to get abused.
I think if the person you're playing against recognizes the fact you're in
punt
cover 3, you're way ahead of me now. I think if whoever you're playing against as an offensive head coach, and Zappy threw it, could have been another pick right before that.
Steelers defense and special teams just doing everything they can to keep them in the game.
Oh, do I have that up? Or did I close it? Oh, I closed it. Oh, there it is. Steelers. There he is. 15, 10, 21.
All right. Take 2 for the Steelers offense inside the 30. Let's see if they can do literally anything here.
Oh, God. Okay.
Big boy run from Najee to get 5 or 6 out of that. Get Pickens a real quarterback. I don't know, like Zappy.
I mean, the Patriots would take Pickens in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Tyquan and Pickens, like, sweet. Like, that's actually somewhat threatening.
More like DeMario and Pickens.
Well, all three, right? Like, Tyquan, DeMario, and Pickens. Like, it's not the all-name team, but it is a functional variety of 3 skill sets to make up your wide receiver room that would be dangerous with the right coordinator.
Oh, man. That's a good play by Mitch. Retreating away from pressure, layering it over to get Darnell involved. Nice first down there. That's a good play by Mitch. He hasn't had many of them tonight, but that was one of them. And that was the kind of stuff that he always had success with in Chicago, like, getting him involved on boots and throwing on the move.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he pretty much had to live in Chicago, was on the roll. He is very athletic. He has a very good arm, but he had to get outside the pocket, because the more you kept him in the pocket and made him go farther than read 1.5 in a half-field read, like, that's the book on him, is that he is not capable of doing that consistently over and over again for the length of an NFL game. He will make mistakes if you make him try and play from the pocket and play through multiple reads on full field reads. He will not do it. And so a lot of times in Chicago, they basically cut the field in half and moved him, and he throws very well off the run, and he had a lot of success there.
It's one of the only things that he was ever truly good at.
He looks comfortable there, for sure.
Which makes me think that he's somehow going to end up in San Francisco eventually in his career. And there's going to be like one weird, Sunday afternoon game that he has to start for whatever reason. He's going to throw for like 350, and everybody's going to be like, see?
He's going to be the Beathard.
Yes. Or it's going to be a TNF game, just like this one.
It's going to be the CJ Beathard of San Francisco, part 2.
All right. Freiermuth isolated.
Did you know that CJ is the grandson of Bobby?
Really? That I actually did not know.
I didn't know that till the game on Monday night.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. All right. Well, they got a PI in the end zone, throwing it up to Freiermuth.
Yeah, he's going to earn that.
Trying to do the exact same thing that the Patriots did with Henry.
And I mean, J.C. Jackson, obviously a disastrous turn with the Chargers, back like so many Patriots before him. And that's such a weird pattern, both for coaches and players of the New England organization, is that they look good. They earn an opportunity to go elsewhere, whether it's coaches or players, contract for players, or usually a head coach spot. If you were in the Belichick tree for a while, that was your ticket to a head coach spot.
Oh!
I mean,
they had it. They had it.
It sounds so pained.
Hayward had the pass batted down, but boy, they had Darnell for a touchdown. I actually like that call. That's nifty, but just couldn't elevate it enough.
No, he threw it flat. And that typically, when you have skill position players besides quarterbacks throw it, that you're going to get a very limited look at things like touch, timing. Like, that's a great play defensively, gotta say.
And finally, they punch it in one play later on the sneak with Mitch. So Steelers are back in this game. Seems like they're going to go for 2 here to try to make it a field goal right now, because they are not confident in their ability to get there again.
Well, it is interesting that the way they earned this was the way they earned their very short field special teams. Like, again, defense and special teams has kept Pittsburgh afloat this year. It is not like they have had any extended stretches of offensive competence. Like, that's the nicest way I can say that. Don't have it here. They, had their fluke short drive, great pass from Mitch to Johnson in the first half, and then second half, can't win their way out, and special teams and defense, right? Defense stuffs New England, and then special teams comes through and blocks the punt. You get a short field, a little bit of help from a PI, and that's how you score. But that is the sauce that Pittsburgh has been rocking pretty much all year, and they keep being able to do it. And here we are with 11:44 to go, and they're in it.
3-point game after that 2-point conversion on a 70 mile-an-hour bullet thrown to Freiermuth there.
He looked like he was just trying not to get hit in the nuts.
Yeah, right. Bobby Groner for $10. Thank you, Bobby. Country Cover 3 exists for usage by bad high school football teams in Wisconsin. Source was on one. Also, love your guys' content. Want to coach in the future, in large part due to y'all. Well, we appreciate you, Bobby, and we wish you luck on your coaching journey. Hopefully, you can go turn one of those bad high school football teams in Wisconsin into a good football team in Wisconsin by not running Country Cover 3.
Yeah, don't do that. What I was trying to say earlier before the punt got blocked is if whoever you're playing against recognizes you're in Country Cover 3, that's that.
Yeah, you're done.
Like, don't – my indicator for whether or not to run it is whether or not they know what it is. And if they know what it is and they recognize it, like, you get out. Like, don't do it. But if you can bamboozle somebody and, like, make them think it's not, then okay, you could run it for a couple downs. Like, I'm not even going to say a couple series. Like, you could get away with it if they don't recognize it. But if they recognize it, you're cooked.
The streets remember when Hoyer and Stidham almost beat the Chiefs that went to the Super Bowl. God, what a weird
The streets.
Year. What a weird year that was.
Stidham.
People kept trying to convince me for years that Jarrett Stidham was going to be like having a renaissance. I'm like, renaissance from what?
Yeah, I don't know that I was ever on that train. Like, at some point when a player goes through a full college or a semi-full college career and plays 5 or 6 years in the pros, at some point I'm usually convinced, like, I would say there's a minimum of players where I'm like, nope. For players that make the pros and stick for 5 or 6 years, there are very few players that I'm like, nope, it's not going to be a thing.
Are they playing Renegade right now? I think they are.
Well, they're playing Renegade and Styx is in the house.
Oh, it's a wrap. Steelers win.
Oh, man.
I love one of my fondest memories ever at a stadium was listening to Renegade live at Heinz back when it was Heinz. That place got fucking loud, man. That's the thing is, like, Steelers fans hate this team, but when that song comes on, they can't help it, man. They can't help it. They just start going nuts. While at the same time just completely detesting the product on the field. But you know what?
You got to have something they can be into.
It's their bad football team. They can make fun of it. You're not allowed to.
And like many bad football teams, that is consistent. We can say bad things about it. You cannot say bad things about it.
All right. 2nd and inches here.
Zeke for a chunk. I'm still on the play behind that. So there you go. Yeah, the scary part, the difference between you and me, Mr. Coleman, is that I was sentient when Renegade was released.
Oh yeah. So you remember hearing it on the
the old countdown for sure. Like, you bet.
This is gonna really offend you. Was 8-track your generation?
Not really. I mean, they were certainly around. I knew what they were, and, like, you know, all the used cars that I was looking to buy as a ute. Many of them had 8 tracks, right? Because that was the era of car that I could afford. My first car that I bought did not have 8-track in it, but it certainly could have in terms of era. No, I was post 8-track. I knew what they were. What always killed me was when people had 8-track in the house. Like, 8-track in the car or the truck or whatever was like, you know, you'd see them kicking around on the floor. They were very durable, like, pieces of, you know, recording media. But when somebody had like a inset, like 8-track player in their house, I was always like, okay, you were committed to the bit. Like,
it's like vinyl exists, guys. Come on now.
Yeah. It's funny that the iterations that vinyl's gone through, but no, I was like, we had a record player in the house. We played records a lot growing up. My mom was big into all kinds of music, and most of it was on vinyl, but I don't think we ever even really owned an 8-track. But you know what they were? They were certainly like in your, friend's dad's car that took you to school or whatever. Like they had them, but they were already being phased out by the time I was pretty little. Like it was cassette tapes at that point, which a lot of people are like, what? And I'm like, if you don't know what a pencil's for in reference to a cassette tape, like.
EJ, what war did you fight in? Revolutionary.
Yeah, I've been revolutionary several times. I do not have wooden teeth, but whatever. No, I've fought in no wars, thankfully.
Had an 8-track in our Chevy Nova. Holy shit.
Yeah, there you go.
Chevy Nova sighting.
Yeah.
All right, 4th down here. Are the Patriots going to go for it? Nope, they are punting. Cowards.
Cowards. Well, I don't know. Really? If you're punting the ball back to Mitch Trubisky, do you count that as cowardly? It seems smart, actually.
It's half a yard.
He's going to give it back to you. This is a given.
Maybe.
He didn't.
I don't know.
Like,
fourth quarter voodoo Mitch is combining with Mike Tomlin voodoo. Like, I don't know, man.
And Sticks is in the house.
And Sticks is in the house. Like that's a lot of magic going their way, man.
Why do I feel like Kevin Hart all of a sudden? It's too much magic. It's too much magic.
I knew you'd bring up the pencil as soon as you mentioned cassettes.
Dude, like, you gotta have it. Like, speaking of, there was like, oh, what's the first, album, but, wasn't an album necessarily. What's the first album you ever bought with your own money? Right. And guaranteed, first album I ever bought, was on cassette for sure. 100%.
Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, I think it was the Police Synchronicity.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, not too bad. It was probably like a Columbia Records deal, like 13 tapes for a penny. Like, and then we will soak you every month for the rest of your known life. But sounded like a good deal at the time.
Mine was Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
There you go.
Another classic. Which I
was going to say,
I detest that Linkin Park is classic rock now. I feel so old.
What's funny is the amount of artists right now that are really crediting Linkin Park not only just through style but also directly through sample, and like there's an entire generation of people right now that's like, no, Linkin Park was monumental, like they moved music, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, yeah, but you realize that, okay, and this is what happens as you get older. You're like, but they built on the foundation of this, who built on the foundation of, like, okay, just stop. Like, yep, okay, cool. Like, Linkin Park was the band that moved you when you were at a formative age, and now you're making music. Like, go for it. Like, that's awesome.
Brett's younger than I thought if that was his first album. I am 32, so I was in, what was I, fourth or fifth grade when Hybrid Theory came out.
Yeah, that's about right.
I wore that thing out, man. Like, I didn't think it was possible to wear out a CD, but I wore out that CD.
It is possible.
My most watched DVD ever is Linkin Park Live in Texas. And one of the greatest regrets of my life is that I did not get to see them live before Chester's passing. That just tore me up, that I didn't take the time to go see them. Because I had plenty of chances, and I never did it.
Yeah, I was going to say, living where you lived, you did. Yeah, we all have those. It was not Linkin Park for me, but we all have those.
My dad's was Jimi Hendrix, because he literally had a chance to before Jimmy even blew up. It was at a festival when Jimmy was like 17, 18, something like that. And,
yeah.
And my dad decided not to go. He still regrets it to this day.
It happens. I mean, you miss those chances sometimes. It's not always, and there's so many, even in, getting back to football, it's like, I told you this like 5-6 months ago, I found out that Emeka Egbuka played like literally 10 miles down the road for me in high school football. I don't know. Like, I don't follow high school football, but like I could have gone and seen his game for free, probably. I guarantee I could have seen at least one of his games against some opponent for free, like if I'd really been into that. But it's like, there's so many of those. And and then, Jimi Hendrix, and you're like, huh, damn it.
Mitch almost just threw another pick to Duggar, by the way.
I was going to say, like, on a screen, too.
It wasn't there, dude. Just throw it away.
It's a bad snap. And he's like, I'll just throw it into the mix. Like, that level of carelessness with the ball is spooky.
And it's predictable.
Because I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it way too many times. So I do. I have flashbacks. Like, no, and like, I don't have any skin in this game at all. And it still elicits that response in me. Like, no, dude, don't let that go in that situation. Like, that is a poor choice. And if you're still making those poor choices a lot, we saw 4 of them in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just not an NFL quarterback. Like, you cannot live with 3 to 4 turnovers a game. Like, that's, if they pay him off, like, you're going to be 3 or 4 possessions in the hole. Like,
Fourth quarter, Mitch is not showing up.
He is not.
It's not. It's not.
He has
deep
not
enough.
Activated the switch yet.
It's not deep enough in the fourth quarter. It needs to be 3 minutes left with the game out of reach, and then you'll see it.
Wasn't fourth quarter Zappy a thing during his first stint? Didn't he have some fourth quarter heroics?
And fourth quarter Kenny. I feel like that's just a theme with like mid to bad quarterbacks, is like it takes them 45 minutes to get going.
I should turn it on now? Okay. Like, yeah, they struggle through the first part, but honestly, there wasn't as much struggling in the first half. Like, the second half has been much more struggle. We came out at 21-10 after halftime. We're currently at 21-18 after basically a blocked punt. Like, that's what that was. Oh, they go for the sneak and they get it. All right. Maybe going to build some momentum here. But, I mean, little has happened in the second half compared to the first half. First half, we had dots and touchdowns and near interceptions and all kinds of stuff. Second half has been much more of a sort of grinded out affair.
All right, nice little curl Pickens here. See, if it's going to be 2nd and 4, I can almost guarantee this is going to be a run. If it's Najee, I'll say outside zone. If it's Jalen Warren, probably either inside zone or power, just based on tendency.
Pickens sighting on first down. I'm still way behind you. So Pickens sighting on first down.
Let's see. You can, in your feed, I think you can see my monitor, right?
I can see half of your monitor. So that's how I can tell how far behind I am, because I can see the commercials on your monitor and be like, oh, I'm like 20 seconds behind.
All right. Screen to Pickens gets absolutely nothing. It's going to set up a 3rd and 4. They did fake the power run.
You know what it feels like?
Huh?
It feels like you bought a ticket to a movie and somebody walking out was like, the guy dies 20 minutes in.
And you're like, kills Dumbledore.
Okay.
All right, Warren in the backfield again, doing a man zone check. And they're in one rat. What do you got, Mitch? Nothing. You got nothing.
Okay. You got nothing.
My friend makes that bad quarter. My friend. Am I having a stroke? Hold on. My friend makes that bad quarterbacks make comebacks comparison to Matthew Stafford. I tell him he's crazy, but he does have a lot of comebacks.
Yeah,
Stafford does have a lot
of bad quarterback.
He also has good first halves too, right? Like at least there's some evidence of him having a complete game. Oh, did they get him to jump?
Getsy has worn me out on screens. Yeah, me too. Dan, absolutely. Getsy throws way too many screens. Oh, really? The punter's fired up?
They got him to jump.
Is that Tavai?
Yep. Oh, my God. Brutal mistake.
I'm telling you, man, defense and special teams, like Pittsburgh specialty. Defense and special teams.
Well, they sure shit don't have an offense.
Oh, my God. And he was staring right at the ball. Like, what are you doing?
Shellbeer says, this is terrible football. This is Steelers football. Thank you very much.
Yeah. This is rugged. The second half has been much more to form than we thought the first half was going to be. Yeah, not great.
Brett, what coverages do the Chiefs run the most and the least? To my recollection, cover 3 is the least. I think they actually run the least amount of cover 3 in the entire NFL, if not 31st or 30th, but they might be 32nd in cover 3. In terms of what they run the most, to my recollection, it's quarters and cover 1. Like they just they have a bunch of sticky DBs, so they just let them be sticky in either man coverage or what is essentially quasi-man coverage in quarters, which tends to play out a lot like man. I don't have the exact percentages, but just top of my head.
They call the no, he twitched. So they're speaking of, we talked a lot in the first half about that hook on the hip call by DBs that was not being enforced last year and is being enforced this year. The twitch on the centers, any movement rock from the centers is being penalized. Saw Jason Kelce get 2 in one drive. Jason Kelce, future Hall of Famer, got called for that exact call twice in one drive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is, I don't want to say point of emphasis because I don't know if it is a point of emphasis, but it is being called in a different way because centers used to be able to get away with rocking the ball, rocking their hips, rocking back onto their heels, any number of things, and defensive players were just expected to stay in line. And I think defensive coaches complained, hey, if you're going to let him do that, like, we're going to come across and you can't call it on us. You got to start calling it on him because centers were real good at, I was just adjusting my grip, like any number of things. And this year that is being called. So I know there's a lot of call in the comments for BS call, shit call, what, like, not a call that was being called a lot last year is a call that's being called quite a bit more this year.
Zachary Christ for $5. What's your favorite album? Mine is Follow the Reaper by Children of Bodom. Great one, by the way. R.I.P. Alexi Laiho. I would say probably the Black Parade is up there from MCR. Is way up there for me. Do I see what I say? Meteora or Hybrid Theory? Probably Meteora. I think Meteora is a better album. Not by much, but it's fucking great. I would also say Toxicity from System. I'm just trying to think of like what I grew up on and just played the absolute shit out of it. Yeah, off the top of my head, that's what I can think of in terms of like my most played albums in my entire history. All right, Zeke's starting it out with a little run here. What about you, EJ? Top album?
Oh, I'm terrible at that question. That's like your favorite food. I mean, it really is. Like, you know me. I like a lot of different music, and I've been around a while at this point. So there's so many great moments that are tied to music throughout my life that it's really hard to go like, oh, dead set, this album is, one I go back to. I'll give you an album I played today that are well, not an album, it was actually a YouTube mix while I was working earlier. on a project, I pulled up a Van Halen YouTube mix, and I have not listened to a lot of Van Halen in a long time. It's been a while. And man, some of the old stuff, B-sides,
yeah,
that stuff holds up. It's real good. Like, I loved it at the time. I've seen Van Halen live a couple of times, saw Van Hagar live at least once. You know, some of the old stuff with David Lee Roth off the B-sides, off Women and Children First, and like there's some real, like, I kept like sort of getting distracted. Usually I like putting music on in the background that doesn't pull me away from what I'm doing. It just kind of fills up the space. And there were 3 or 4 times this morning I was like, oh man, I haven't heard this in 20 years. That's really good. So, not a favorite album of all time, but maybe favorite album of today. We'll go with that.
Huge stuff by that Steelers defense.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of hats on the ball. Herbig's in there. Hayward. Whoa, that's a Steelers fan.
Yeah, that's all Cam Hayward, man, working against Andrews on power. Also, TJ did a fantastic job of boxing it on the front side, so that there wasn't anywhere for Zeke to go.
No, that is a classic Steelers run stop. That is just dude on dude.
Hey.
Take on half a guy.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Keep going.
Oh my.
It's a steamier stream than I thought. We can do this.
What's
short round?
What's that?
$9.99.
Oh,
nope,
you're just going right past it.
Nope, leaving it. Short round, $9.99. Speaking of regrets, we have some. They're real recent. On missed history, had a high school teacher in the 1980s. He had a chance to drive 8 hours to watch a hockey match in Lake Placid, New York. He didn't, and the miracle on ice happened.
Oh no!
Yeah, that's a bad beat,
man. That's awful.
What's the connection to tonight?
Al Michaels.
Al Michaels.
There we go.
Called the miracle on ice. He's calling this football game. So there you go. Tying it all together.
Yeah. Imagine peaking in your career that early and everything being all downhill from there for like 50 years.
I don't know. I don't know that that's true. It hasn't been
in terms of like momentous.
You're not going to replicate the moment, but like he's had a lot of great calls since then. Now, recently,
now he's calling this.
Yeah, and now he's living through this steaming trash heap of the second half.
Oh man.
Poor Al. It is a competitive game, and we've had lots of games that we've done this year that have not been super competitive, but I would not say has been great football in the second half.
No. Now, Mitch is driving.
Yeah, Najee. Again, if you're Mitch, lean into your strengths here. Let your playmakers make plays on low-risk throws. Do not throw triple contested screens.
So 2nd and 10.
Ugh.
They are on the other side of the 2-minute warning, which for me means there's no incentive for them to not call a run here. And knowing them, they would like to call a run here. And it's cover 2. Look, are they going to do it? And they throw out of it. But they still get like 7 anyway. All right, so they're going to get another play before the 2-minute warning. It'll be 3rd and short.
It would be just like this dog to go to overtime.
I know. I feel like that's where we're heading here.
It feels a little inevitable at this point. It really does.
Oh, they're going empty on 3rd and 2? What?
Apparently the tendency breaker light was flashing on the play call sheet.
Jesus Christ, Mitch. Okay.
Hey, trust me, as a guy that's a Bears fan, I've said that a lot.
3rd and 2 at midfield. You know that you're going to go for it anyway. You're on the other side of the 2-minute warning. Why are you going empty? Just run the ball. Like, what are we doing here?
You really needed to give Mitch another chance to throw it to the safety, and he almost did.
And now you can't. I mean, you can run it, but it's probably not advisable. Just what the fuck are we doing here? All right, you're getting one-on-one on Pickens, but you're not putting the game on the line with that. Not because we don't trust Pickens, more so we don't trust Mitch. God damn.
I'm sorry.
It's the doe-eyed stare for me.
Yep.
Like, do you know how many times I've seen the end of a game that Mitch Trubisky loses where the final shot is him looking like this?
Like, yeah, you know what that's been replaced by in Chicago?
What?
The Matt Eberflus, like, well, what was that? Like, what was that? What was that? Like, that's what he does on the sideline. Like, that's Eberflus on the sideline. He's like, what?
It's just
we've gone from quarterback to head coach. I don't know that it's better. It is different.
It's just weaponized incompetence.
Bears football, baby. Get excited. Weaponized incompetence.
The fact that I can't tell the difference between Bears football and Steelers football is a problem. For both teams, really, honestly. It's an insult to everybody. It's an insult to everybody.
I was going to say.
Nobody's having fun.
Nobody's happy here. Nobody's having fun. Like, let's not do that anymore. And I'm with you, but it's for different reasons, but the results are very much the same.
Like, that was just a Bears game with different jerseys in it. Oh my God. I forgot how much I hated watching Mitch Trubisky games. Like, I actively dislike this sport every time he makes me watch him.
Yeah, push it out of your mind. It is not a friendly memory to carry with you. The thing that you said that not struck me, but just reminded me more than anything is it's predictable. And I was feeling that early in the game. I was like, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to squeeze him. He's going to step up and he's going to run right into the rusher with his eyes down.
Yeah.
Oh, look what happened. They squeezed him. He ran up into the rusher with his eyes down. Like, he's going to throw like to nobody on his team. He's going to throw to 3 guys on the other team at least 3 times during this game. Like, he is going to lob one up into what the hell was that? They may or may not catch it. And that was the thing that always killed me was like, people were like, who's know about? I was like, did you see the 3 balls that he lobbed directly to the defense that they didn't catch? Like, that's not on him being good. That's just lucky that the defense is bad.
He might have like 6 turnover-worthy plays tonight.
I would say it's higher. Depending on how you count that last screen, I would say it's higher.
It's just so bad. So Steelers have
one
timeout.
That's the thing is like,
oh my God.
If that's what you're sort of trying to defend, and look, there were Trubisky truthers right to the end. I really believed in Mitch coming out of UNC. I thought he would make the jump. He clearly did not. But even at the end of his sort of grinding tenure in Chicago, which was never great, but there were people who were like, no, it was the organization that failed him. And I was like, he might go somewhere else. But by the time he left Chicago, I was like, he'll go somewhere else and he will be a clipboard holder because he looks the part. He's got a big arm. Like, he'll be a clipboard holder, but he's not going to, Justin, I feel, could go somewhere else and be a factor.
No.
Mitch, by the time he left, I was like, nope, he'll be a clipboard holder. He'll stay in the league, but it's that he never could get over the hump of stand in the pocket, full field reads, and make good decisions consistently to put your football team in a good spot. And it just hasn't changed for him. And so, yeah, I have flashbacks, whatever you want to call them, like watching him like, and this is the reason, and this is why, and that's what he does.
Mitch is going to be the new Charlie Whitehurst. Like,
I feel like he is Charlie Whitehurst. Like, have we ever seen the two of them in the same place? Just like
oh, man.
Charlie Whitehurst just like got a haircut, shaved his beard down, and like came back as Mitch Trubisky. I don't know.
All right. Well, again, based on strength of schedule, I still think, that ended the game right there. I still think the Patriots might have the number 2 pick based on strength of schedule, because the Cardinals also are at 3-10 right now. And as of right now,
good night, Zeke.
The Patriots' strength of schedule is 527. Arizona's 561. So even if they're both at 3, I think just based on tiebreaker, New England's still in position to get Drake May and or Caleb if they want him. But obviously it would help them if Arizona could go out there and win another game at some point, just to make it easier. The good news,
just to make it for sure. Look at Bill celebrating the first down like it's a Super Bowl. He's like, that is a first down. Like, yes, Bill. Yes, it's true. That is a first down. Congratulations. Now we have an official review.
Do you know what the best news tonight is, though, EJ?
That the game's over?
Second best news tonight,
okay.
EJ.
No.
The Bears' odds for getting the number 1 pick just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Nope.
So. They needed help tonight, and good on them. Bears can count on alumni to help them out. Lovie Smith, like, nicely done.
Yeah, it was.
Mitch Trubisky, well played.
Entering tonight, the Patriots only had a 35% chance of winning. It was that high?
Yeah, it seems. Yeah. Seems high to me. But, let's give Bailey Zappi credit. He got all week to prepare. Came out, made a bunch of throws in the first half. And, some questionable ones, too. Less questionable ones than Mitch, which, if you're talking about winning a game in the NFL, got to be better than the guys on the other side. It's not that you're not the best quarterback in the league. Neither of these guys are the best quarterback in the league. But you got to be better than the guy across from you. And Bailey Zappi was clearly better than Mitch Trubisky tonight, and that's the difference. The Patriots win this game. It's close because, I would say the Patriots defense and the Pittsburgh defense played somewhat to a standstill, but Pittsburgh special teams, third phase, clearly won the night and kept their team close. Didn't have a lot to do with Mitch in the offense, certainly not in the second half.
I just looked at my halftime underdog entry that I filled out at halftime.
Yes.
I am incensed. Okay.
What did you miss by 1 yard?
Oh, wait for it. So we hit Zeke, right? We hit Zeke. We got 1 out of 5. Keep in mind, this is a $10 entry for potential to win $200.
Okay.
So Zappi, I had at 271.5. He finished with 240. Okay, fine, whatever.
Fine.
We got insurance. We only need 4 out of 5. Jaylen Warren, 32.5 receiving. He finished with 29. Juju needs 95.5 receiving. He finished with 90. Trubisky needs 30.5 rushing. Guess what he finished with, EJ?
28.5.
Oh, I wish it was that far away. 30. 30. So collectively, I missed out across 3 different guys by 8 total yards? Because God hates me?
It's not a feature. It's not a bug. It's a feature. Oh, man. I am telling you, if you want a really half-decent strategy on underdog, don't tail anything. Fade everyone.
Go completely opposite of me, and you're good to go.
Fade everyone. You'll be all right. I feel like we got a little bit of a treat in the first half. This was not a complete dog. The second half felt very much like what we expected. A grinding affair with not a lot of good football. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we got gifted a bonus half in the first half.
Considering, oh my God, did they stuff them? Oh my God, they did. All right.
They're going to drag this out.
Fuck.
They're going to drag this out.
I want to go to bed.
I know.
Don't make me watch them anymore. Oh.
The one constant tonight, Brett, is that you are not going to get what you want.
All right, so Steelers are probably going to get the ball back with like 30 seconds. And
Why can't one of these teams get creative? Like either one, just take a chance, which is so contrary to like both of their football DNA. But like, do that. Run a like fake PA handoff, roll out, rainbow, have Bailey Zappi chuck it up. Like, let's go. Like, who cares if they pick it off and run it back? The game's over. You get your draft pick. Nobody loses.
Why is this game still going?
Mostly because you wanted it to end. Apparently. Again, just fade the roster, man. Just fade it. 100%.
So after this punt, Steelers will have, because they're punting from like the 39.
Yeah.
If they coffin corner this from the 39, that would be the best play of the night.
That'd be fun.
Okay, he put it at like the 13. All right, so Steelers have 15 seconds to go 87 yards. Or really more, it's like
Mason?
57 yards.
With Mason?
Nah, Mitch is coming out.
Oh, well then.
Unfortunately. Yeah. He's got a stronger arm, so they might be trying to set up a Hail Mary.
OT equals Malort. No, I would say OT equals Hemlock.
Brett, you get another chance for your parlay. Honestly, I'm willing to part with the $10 so that I don't have to watch this game anymore.
Would you double it? Would you double it? Would you go to 20 if this game ended mercifully right now?
Get out of bounds. Get out of bounds. Yeah, okay. Wait, why am I cheering for this? No, don't get out of bounds. Get tackled, you fuck.
Why are you trying to maximize this? You're like, throw a pick. Throw a pick. You just can't.
I think my instinct kicked in of like wanting to see competent football.
Oh, man. I am consistently reminded that no matter how bad this product is, we will be absolutely begging for it by like March.
Yeah, we're going to want it.
Yeah.
All right. And sure, we're thrown over the middle again because whatever, it's over. I'm not even going to try to understand it. We're stat padding.
We're stat padding. Did we have stats to pad? Is that a thing? Oh, ball comes out.
I'm happy we got through that.
Are you?
Also,
are you deeply happy that we got through that?
I can't remember if Thursday games are allowed to be flexed, but I have to imagine Amazon's going to try to push for that. Because this is the second year in a row that they've gotten just hosed. Completely hosed.
Well, and somebody, I think, actually before you hopped on, I was looking at chat before we fired the stream up, and somebody figured it out that Amazon paid about $85 million per game for Thursday Night Football. So they paid $85 million for that, which is yeesh. I get it, but that's distressing, I guess is the best way to put that.
I wonder if they're profiting. The ads, I don't think the ads generate $85 million.
I'm not sure, but next week, Chargers Raiders, which at least on the surface looks more interesting.
It's hard to be less interesting.
Well, sell the sizzle, Coleman.
I'm just saying. I'm jaded at this point, okay?
No, you're faded at this point, but yeah.
We've been through, over the last 2 years, we've been through so many bad TNF games.
We have had
so
a few,
many.
but when people were like, questioning our resolve earlier in the day, I'm like, come on, this is not that bad. Like, we've seen worse collectively.
Yeah, Eagles Cowboys 2014. Remember that game? It's like 6-3. That might be the worst game I've ever seen.
There's a lot of dogs. This again for a half, I think we got a little holiday surprise. It was not a dog. It was exciting. It wasn't great football. Let's not go that far. But it was fun for a half, and then we hit the sort of grinding incompetence in the second half that we expected for the full 60 minutes here. And, again, we only had to sit through half of that. And it was still way too much. But, it's kind of like the Detroit draft, Brett. If you switched the first half and second half, this would have been cool.
It looks a lot better. Yeah. We didn't get our Michael Scott drink. Yes, I am currently on medication, so I did not drink any alcohol tonight, which I actually regret because I feel like I needed that to get through this. But I will have the Michael Scott drink for you next week for sure. I'm not happy about it, but I'm a man of my word. So it will happen during Chargers Raiders. And then the week after that, I believe, is Saints Rams. We won't have a stream that week because I'm actually going to be at SoFi for Saints Rams.
Oh, yeah.
So
week 16 is Saints Rams. And then week 17.
Barn burner. Browns Jets, baby.
Is that Jets Browns? Oh,
yep.
God.
Yep. Last one of the year.
That's rugged.
So we're going out with a bang.
Oh, we might go out with an ugly, ugly whimper. I think at that point, like, Zach Wilson might just throw up the I'm on strike sign. Like, no, I'm not going out there again. Like, screw that. You can't make me. And he would be right to do so, I think. But who do they get at that point? Like, we've already had, like, statistically one of the worst quarterbacks ever out of the collegiate ranks start a game for us this year. So, like, where do you go from there if Zach Wilson just says, nah, I lost my shoes, I can't go out?
You just look for 2024, like, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, do you get, like, Fireman Ed out of the stands and be like, dude, you've always dreamed it. Like, tonight you'll be leading the Jets offense from the field.
Breece Hall, Wildcat every play.
Oh, wow. That always sounds like a lot more fun than it would be.
Well, we hope we've actively fired you up for the remaining TNF streams we have this year.
Well, the sales pitch here would be here next week because it actually might be interesting. After that, not so much.
Go see your family after that. Don't worry about us.
But we're even taking one of those weeks off, Saints Rams. So, oh boy,
we do have a podcast coming out tomorrow. By the way, again, it's a little bit of a different format than we normally do, and you guys seem to have responded very positively to us kind of experimenting in the back half of the season with different formats, different topics. So, hopefully, you guys enjoy tomorrow's show as well. And then we'll be back Monday, recapping Week 14. Thank you all. Let's see, how many of you are left here? A little over 400 people still somehow left at this point.
Hardcore.
Listening to ranting and ravings. We appreciate all of you immensely. Hope that we entertained you decently during tonight's shit show of a game. And we will see you tomorrow for a new pod.
Take care.